Yeah, everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Weekly Shonen Jump for the week of October 31st, 2021. On the cover, we've got Sakamoto Days. Uh, Not a spooky cover. I mean, this is the October 31st issue, and sometimes, Jump likes to do a spooky thing. Sometimes series like to do Halloween things, so I'll keep an eye out for it. But honestly, I think this is way better than how do I put this? I would never turn down the chance to see the Sakamoto cast, all wearing costumes and stuff. In fact, because they are the first thing, I actually really hope that is, the color page. That'd be really good. But this, I assume, is more of just a general, hey, we're getting... actually, what would this be? It's clearly a celebration. But it's not like a Halloween celebration, so maybe it's an anime thing, maybe it's, something else happening. Maybe it's just good sales. I know Sakamoto's really popping off, and I'm really glad about that. If only I could read the sign. If only they had translated the sign! But at the same time, I do get it. It's tough for something like this, where, this banner is pure art. It would feel weird to, retypeset it, because then you're losing, how good the brushstrokes look. That's been a constant problem with me for, retypesetting stuff. But then, if you just write it on the... I guess there's no reason why you can't just write it on the side. Even if it is, a nice art thing, it's fine. If people want a cleaner version, they can go get the, get the art book. I mean, this is already not clean. It's got the Shonen Jump watermark on it. So, yeah, why not? Why not just typeset what the hell this is? I've completely flipped. Anyways, before we do Sakamoto Days, we have, of course, Black Clover, chapter 311. Even at our first encounter, I sensed something like myself in you. So, of course, has just kicked into Saint stage. He's landed, presumably, the killing blow. He's cut through the devil's heart. This is, it's the win condition. I could see there still being a bit of a, oh, well, I have space magic, so I can still, use space powers to connect these two parts of the heart, so I'm still not dead, technically. But I think with the pacing of the fight, it would really suck if we drew this out anymore. I could see them, I could see this whole conversation, this whole chapter being a conversation between the two of them. But I think the fighting has to be over. Because, yeah, even, Yuno is at the very absolute, final dregs of his power. His hair was changing back when he landed the blow. Yeah, there's no way. And page 311, make it home alive. I feel like, yeah, we have to be cutting away to a different faction. And I don't know what we would be cutting to, because we've already gotten rid of, the Dark Triad. So next is, I guess, gotta go into the main chamber, beat up, Science Man, finally save the captains. Because, yeah, that would make sense. If it is a, Yami is, lost all of his mana, and he's, super desiccated, and, they've expended so much of his and William's power in order to open up the gates that he thinks he's gonna die, and then, Asta screams, "No, you'll make it home alive!" That's gotta be it. It can't be or, yeah, it can't be either of them. So I'm guessing it's got to be a cut to, Yami. I'll land that specific target. And that is so good. The idea that doesn't have a response because he still has not won. And, Xenon is remembering it. He's remembering his own rivalry. And through the two of them, knowing that they are so very similar, he's like, crap. Yeah, it's because I never actually completed the vow I made with my friends. I failed there, and this boy is still on his journey. And maybe if I had found some way to not kill him, if I didn't try to make the hard sacrifice, maybe we'd still be competing. Maybe I'd actually be the commander-in-chief. Okay, the whole thing's falling apart. So they've taken out the Dark Triad, and yet, why is the advent of Kifaloth still advancing? Yeah, the minor demons are also, I really appreciate them, not as themselves, because, they're whatever, they're fodder. But I appreciate having this, constant outpouring of fodder, just to explain, what everyone else is doing. It makes it clear that, yeah, this is a big ol' war arc, and enough people came here, and, the Diamond Kingdom, the Spade Kingdom is fighting to reclaim their own home, but just, the fodder's already so, horrifying. There's such a massive onslaught that, of course, it's keeping everyone busy. It feels as if something enormous is about to emerge. But they've only gotten open the first layer, right? And the twins came out of that. So, I mean, to be fair, each of these layers should be successfully bigger and bigger. So even if it is just the second layer, it might still be ridiculously powerful. Like, also depending on, like, how much, I mean, we're saying this as if, the twins weren't insanely powerful by themselves. So anything bigger than them, especially since, it was both of them at the same time. So, like, individually, each of them separately weren't, like, how do I put this? If this is one singular entity from the start, I get why this would be something truly enormous. Oh, so who is this? Is it it has to be the fourth sibling, right? Because this is definitely a human design, and it doesn't look like it's the scientist, right? I have no idea who this is. Is this the scientist? I don't remember what his grimoire looked like, but that is a diamond, and to be fair, he is from the Diamond Kingdom, so I guess that is him. And that is interesting. Okay, and I'm only the messenger for the ultimate devil, Lucifero. So, okay, so Lucifero is still working here. It's not like, another demon. Oh shit, so Lucifero's coming out of the second gate. Huh, I wonder if he's not that big of a deal then. I mean, like, in the world of devils, I should say. In our world, obviously, he's going to be a massive deal. Okay, so, yeah, we didn't, like, say it explicitly already, so I am happy that it is being said. That, yeah, like, he doesn't need the Dark Triad in order to keep this going now, like, once the reaction has started. And, I mean, even if it is, if it's magic that can affect intangible concepts, like, anti-magic is not a concept. Anti-magic is a substance. Which, the more and more I think about that, the more I feel like we are going to have, like, not like a big in detail, like, scientific breakdown of what anti-magic is, but I feel like we'll definitely delve into it more. Like, when Asta first started, like, flying and, using anti-magic to, like, do stuff as opposed to just, using it to counter magic, I was a little sus, but now I've come all the way back around to, like, I am very curious to see what it's going to be, because I do think it is going to be a thing. Like, I think we're going to get the big panel at some point of someone saying, like, hey, has no one wondered why, if it just negates magic, how can Asta, fly around? Or how can Asta do X or Y? How can he shoot, the concept of not magic out of his sword? Obviously, it is a thing. Let us watch the advent of the King of Devils together. Is he really the king? Again, this is the second gate. I mean, how can you not side with a family man like this? He's got such balls. Like, I will never not love this sentiment of, like, I can't cut and run, can't die either. Like, I'm not sacrificing myself for my family because I need to go back to them. But I am going to give it my all here. All I have to do is the impossible. And this is a twitch, not a crack. So, like, is Yami, like, reacting to Asta's key? Hey! The entire fucking, the giant bull. And Asta actually is not here, so, I mean, it makes sense. It's not like, he can only sense Asta. He can sense anyone's key. But okay, I'm actually really, really excited about this. Like, I assumed Asta was going to be first one in, but the fact that he isn't actually gives me a much higher hope that Yami's gonna be fine after this. Because, I love these guys, but they are definitely the second stringers. And so I can definitely see them, coming in, doing their best, and then being saved by, the first in class as they pop in. Plus, like, yes, Yuno is totally drained. Yes, Noelle is also totally drained. But, like, Yuno is beloved by Mana. So I could definitely still, like, my theory was that Noelle was going to have to teach him how to enter Saint Stage before this point. But I could definitely see it being the big, like, Lucifero does come through, this is the final fight, and then Asta, shows up, he pulls himself together, he does one more Devil Union, gets some tips from Noelle, he knows how to do this properly now, so he immediately enters Saint Stage, and then they fight side by side for the big finale. Oh, I'm so excited, like, I'm so excited specifically for, like, I know I'm jumping, like, 20 chapters ahead, probably. But I'm so excited to see, like, Asta and actually be opposites now. Like, one of them using the, absolutely using the power of devil and being one with a devil, and the other, being one with a spirit, and, having this ability that's explicitly anti-devil, and them fighting side by side. I'm really curious, like, now they both have two wings as well, so we can't do what we did in the Elf arc, where, they're fighting side by side, and, each of them has one wing, and together they make up two wings. Oh, I'm so, God, Black Clover is so good. I'm so, like, I really do love starting off with Black Clover, because it always puts me in the right mood for Jump. No matter what chapter it is, I just get so into it. Even if it never goes that high, it is still just it's so fantastic. Would not change a thing about it. Okay, so that is Black Clover. Next we've got the Elusive Samurai, Chapter 38. So we're seeing the Suwa generals. They are adults, so I'm not expecting a ton out of them, but at the same time, they already look kind of wacky. So I'm curious to see, like, what their dynamic is going to be. Oh, so many lines. So how do they react to this big reveal? Oh no! Jump, what did you do? Oh no! Oh no, this is bad. Like, you guys might only see the side. Okay, it fixed itself. But yeah, like, it was duplicating one of the previous pages on the right and one of the, like this page, I guess, just on the side. Okay, whew. I was really worried I was gonna have to read the whole chapter, or, like, all of a jump like that. But yeah, I do like this response, because I didn't really understand. I wasn't sure if everyone in the sewer sect were, like, you know, super into the Hojo. But I do like this as a, yeah, we don't serve him. We're not that excited, but if you want us to fight for him, we will. Okay, so they did know each other as well, or, like, they've met, you know, a little bit previously. Makes sense. Like, you know, Tokiyuki's been here for a while, so if these three, you know, were that important, they hadn't been around all this time, it would have been very strange. It's really cool seeing what I presume are their, like, you know, clan insignias here. And so far, like, I was expecting them to be more wacky, but both of them so far, like, these two are, or, like, yeah, all three of them are very level-headed. In the immediate, sorry, I was changing my webcam, but I really love this hard switch from, like, yeah, these, you know, these are his three generals, and you can see that they've lived with him for, you know, for all this time. They know how to deal with him, and they're, you know, very level-headed and caring. I love the idea of him, you know, literally being the manifestation of their god upon this earth. And he's solving, and they're like, oh, gotta give him some candy. Don't cry, it's fine. It was a cool reveal. And then the hard contrast between that and this. And damn, the Kokushi himself is, you know, killing these people. Jesus. His motivation and cruelty have increased. He fled to Kyo, but came back a changed man. And yeah, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, if he's doing this on some level because he wants to protect himself, then no, that's not happening. These are starving, crying peasants begging for their lives. Okay. Oh, March 1335. Doing a big jump. So with the great subjugating Hojo sympathizers throughout the land, Emperor Go-Daigo, sorry, launched a concerted attack. Okay. This would be the last and largest preliminary skirmish before Tokiyuki's uprising in 4 months' time. So damn, we are really counting it down, and it is a clear, like, you know, we are saying specifically, you should know when this is going to happen. Like, it's happening in 1335. That's really, really cool. Like, again, I do really love the vibe of Elusive Samurai. It is this mix of, like, I don't know what's going to happen, but it does have this, like, this destined feeling to it without being fatalistic. And okay, cool. So yeah, they're not, like, specifically going to be fighting in any one battle. They're just going to be, like, conveying reports and orders. They're just going to be keeping everyone together, which is actually a really cool use of, like, last arc was already the proof of concept of, like, you know, they, you know, the sushi thing being, like, we're doing this as a proof of concept to show that we can, in fact, you know, do, you know, a much bigger run. And then this is the, like, yeah, now this is going to prove that we can literally race across the country, more or less. Like, or, you know, across, like, this whole area of conflicts. Because obviously, like, you know, the other side is not going to just be cool with the messengers. Like, they're going to try and kill them. This is really, really good practice. Like, they will have to inherently be fighting for the, you know, like, just because they have to do that in order to survive. Tokiyuki's so horny. And okay, cool. So this is also a big, like, yo, you're gonna learn about the generals by seeing them in combat. Like, this was just the initial, hey, you should see them. Like, you should visibly, you know, you should know what they look like, and you should at least be, you know, aware they are reasonable people. But we're not gonna delve into all of their quirks and stuff. Like, that's gonna be a thing we're gonna see in the fights. Very, very excited about that. They say you excel at escaping the shrine, and you're some kind of weirdo who darts around battlefields as naked as a jaybird. Such a heavy blush. But damn. So yeah, no need to retreat. Like, they're holding it just fine. Yeah. Like, he seems very, very level-headed. They said you still know the half of it. And they're all like, they have these very placid smiles. It's a real like, aw, you kids, you don't get it yet. So I wonder if it is going to be something wacky, or if it is a big like, he's just so unbelievably caring that you can't comprehend how caring he is. Okay, Chojumaru Dono, have you ever known a woman? He's 10. I mean, he is so constantly horny all the time, but he's 10. Me neither. I have not known a woman either. I'm defenseless to their charms. When they speak to me, my blood rises in turmoil. Even in the company of the shrine maidens, my heart pounds, my body burns. Oh no, he's a virgin! I use that heat in the service of Suamyojin. My blood boils for women, but I pour it into bellicosity backed by muscle. When a warrior Kamakura remains pure until age 30, he becomes a lord of carnage. He's so cool. He is truly the vanguard of No Nut November. Ah, God. Elusive Samurai is so fucking cool. Like, in addition to the, like, just genuinely cool stuff, there's also just, like, I appreciate any series that can handle, like, comedy and action and serious stuff so deftly. And I mean, that was also Assassination Classroom. That was also Neru to an extent. I'd say Neru was more, Neru was more on rails. And I think the comedy was a little weirder. Like, there are more times in Neru where I was like, I don't know if this is great. Like, this just feels kind of weird. Not that it's bad or it's offensive or anything, but just like, the, like, bad anime. Like, did we need a joke here? Whereas Assassination Classroom and Elusive Samurai have been fantastic at, like, handling that tone. Oh, it's so good. But I don't have a whole lot to really say, and I want to devote some more time to Red Hood and Neru, so just generally fantastic chapter. Really, really liked it. This week's Black Clover was more of a, like, in-between, so I think it's gonna fall to the bottom. Next, we have the Hunter's Guild Red Hood, Chapter 17. Holograms. Holograms. I wonder how, like, whether that is what we conceive of as holograms, or if this is going to be a like a more metaphorical thing, or if it's like referring to like holographic stuff in like in a book. And yeah, I mean, this is the same sentiment as last week, but the red list wants the world to thrive and exist. Makes so much sense. It is a fundamental, like, yeah, you said in chapter 1 that you want to hunt us to extinction. Obviously, we don't want that. We want life, whereas the Hunter's Guild represents death. But, it doesn't hit that hard when, we're doing it so fast. Ah. This is true Lollyx Bara lady. Is she being inflated? What is Cinderella? I'm not gonna kill you, but I'm not letting go of my grudge either, so I did something I knew you'd absolutely hate. This is truly a series that should have exploded on Pixiv. This mangaka knows how to win. I mean, it's also the classic Naruto thing of, you gotta make the rivals kiss early on. I really hope that, like, now that she's spending some time separate from, like, I'd really hate it if we end the series with Grimm being this deflated and out of it. Like, even if realistically she probably should be. Like, we probably won't see her like in full form until like we get an epilogue. But I feel like she should do something in this point that is very characteristic, and that isn't her just like slouching around and looking grumpy. Such an enormous crew of characters all listening at the door. And again, I like it. I do like the whole crew is coming in, but it's like, they just met. I mean, to be fair, it's been 6 months, but it didn't really feel like 6 months. Of course, because they didn't want to spend that much time on the training arc, and I get it, especially since the series seems like it's being canned. Let him help. Yes, he's a capitalist, but he can help. I mean, if anyone is going to dash over to the book and just write in, I have $1 billion, it is going to be him, though. So, okay, you can't just say, and so humanity eradicates werewolves. So, how does this work? A parasitic outbreak, cataclysmic disasters, an all-powerful magic spell, nuclear warfare. 7 attempts were made, but each one ended not just in failure, but in the eradication of the human race. Okay, cool. So that's what that means. Also, nuclear warfare. Like, goddamn, I mean, also, this does obviously imply that, like, the Hunters Guild continues to persist even if all of humanity ceases to exist. But, like, what is that? Is that just this area? Like, it does make sense to me that, if this area is, between, like, the cover of the book, like, if this is a place out of reality, I guess I understand how you could do it. And I am glad, like, this being said so very early on, I am really glad that this is, like, they are tying up this loose end of, every human can become a werewolf. There is no, like, it's not being transmitted via disease or something. It is just fundamentally humans and werewolves are two sides of the same coin. Each time we fail, new humanity is deployed, and they begin a new battle against monsters. Yeah, this is such... These concepts are so big to be, putting in Chapter 17. They exist far, far above us, or perhaps far below us, or far to the sides. Who knows? I really like that line. That's such a good way of, like, without pointing to the camera, still being like, yeah, we can't say exactly where they are, but we know they're there, and then you, as the reader, can look at it and go like, yeah, I am actually to the side of them. That is true. I mean, can they just write in that she's different now? Or, I mean, I think it's probably just going to be that, Valu cares about her. And so, even if, like, she doesn't have her own story within her, like, if he is the pages that were stolen, then I see him, like, in addition to like, negating the world around him, he should be able to, like, write Grimm's story in himself, maybe? Or it might have already happened. We could be doing the big, like, the story of the series. Like, the Hunters Guild Red Hood, the manga, is the story that he has written inside of himself. And therefore, like, all this stuff is still capped, even if the book is destroyed, this continues on. Oh, Comet Laser! That's so dope! That looks so dope! And okay, so it isn't that, the readers gave them the name, hey, by the way, we're the readers. So it is, like, the guild themselves are the ones who are like, yeah, we understand this is meta-narrative, so we're calling them the readers. Like, we have a magic book, we get it. We simply play out our roles upon that stage. Our battles against monsters are, to them, mere entertainments. And honestly, like, with the line of, what do you think happens if the ritual performed for the gods isn't good enough? I think this is honestly a pretty cool way of folding in the fact that the series is being canceled into the narrative itself, Like, again, it's something I would have liked way later on, but for what it is, like, I have to respect the mangaka for being able to pull this off. Like, I do think the volumes that are out for Red Hood are going to sell pretty damn well. Like, I can definitely see this being something that people are going to pick up at, like, if not just because it is a decent manga, for the sake of, like, like, I think this is legitimately such a good way of, like, how do I put this? The fact that it is so very distilled makes it super interesting. Like, it's way longer than a one-shot, but it's not a full series, but it has, like, all the, like, meta-narrative and building blocks and, like, planning of a full series. The purpose of the book is to entertain the readers. It isn't fun if the story is resolved too easily. A story that doesn't entertain is abandoned. Once abandoned, our world will disappear. And yeah, it makes sense. Like, Valu would not be interesting if he didn't have the backstory of, both living in the village and then the village being annihilated. By repeating that over and over, we appease the gods, while slowly, subtly reducing the number of monsters and somehow holding our world together. So it is a fundamental, like, as long as we, like, we can never be fully safe, but we can try and make the world better and better and better over time. Our 8th scenario is to say werewolves came from the lycanthrope virus. Humanity could suppress that virus with a special medicine. I really love it. That's so good, because it is a big, like, it makes so much sense as a writing thing. In hindsight, you might be able to look at the whole world and go, wait a minute, but how could it be a virus if, if X character turned into a werewolf, or if Y thing happens? But, like, as a scenario, like, if you can seed it over a long period, if you can write these stories of people, like, of people entering these scenarios where it's very clear, like, oh, okay, this does seem like it is a virus, actually, even if everyone said it wasn't, then you can write it into reality, and it'll make sense, and the readers will buy it. The moment we took up the book is the moment we failed. What point is there to a world whose sole purpose is to create tragedies that live up to the expectations of merciless gods? It is a really strong statement. Because, like, I've heard people, bring this up about, like, the Marvel universe or the DC universe, like, the main, continuities as they exist. And the idea of, like, there are characters in both of those universes who are aware of the meta-narrative. And, like, what is the world like from that perspective? where you know for a fact, like, this world persists because people are buying the comics. And that, all these horrible events are happening constantly because people are, buying the comics more when that happens. And, if you have a really calm, nice series, sometimes it just doesn't sell. Like, Patsy Walker, aka Hellcat, is a comic that I really, really adore. And it was really, really chill. It was a fundamental, like, let's take this character who has been around since, since the Golden Age, as not even a, like, hero character at that point. She was, like, just a romance character. But, like, she became an X-Man. She, did become a superhero. And Patsy Walker, aka Hellcat, was this really cool, like, looking back and trying to tie it all together into one clean, like, not perfectly clean narrative, but just a clear, like, long story of this singular lady. And having it be this, like, there are fights and stuff, but it's, it's more about human, interaction. It's more about relationship stuff. It's more about, like, just living day to day. And it got canned, and I hate it, but it's like, yeah, I get why that got canned, but, like, fucking Civil War II happens. It's the same concept. Like, from that perspective, I can understand this very, like, a nihilist statement of just, let's just end it. Let's just stop. I mean, it's a difficult one, because this is a fundamental, like, is it better to intentionally create this world where tragedies are constantly happening and people are able to eke out some, happiness amongst all the suffering, as opposed to just saying, like, no, what if this just doesn't happen? What if we don't allow the suffering machine to continue churning out suffering in hopes that someday we manage to hit a balance? I mean, it's also very, like, it's very applicable to the real world in terms of philosophy. It is the big question of, like, we do know for a fact that, like, of the population of this earth, like, there's a lot of fucking bad shit happening. There's a lot of people suffering. And, statistically, if you're doing pretty well, you are in the minority. So it's like, well, what is the morality of continuing to exist? Is it better to, drop the nukes and destroy everything? I mean, obviously, I don't think so, but, like, it is a very strong parallel. Her name is Debonair Diamond? I believe we only ever got the name Hot-Blooded Debonair before. But fuck, Debonair is so cool. Debonair Diamond is such a good fucking name. I love it. Do not interrupt, you mere extras. Oh, this is fucking dope. And I mean, getting out there doesn't really matter. Like, fundamentally, Valu is here, the book is in here, they have the book. Like, whether Valu destroys the book or whether they just, like, have a really good idea. I mean, like, Valu is fundamentally this, like, being of anti-narrative. And so, like, can even the mayor's scenario hold up to that? Like, is it possible that, he can find a happy ending here fundamentally because he is this, this being that unravels the scenarios put amongst him? I guess it really depends on, like, how is he made? Like, are the pages just a thing that was used to, like, make this homunculus, this, this Pinocchio, and then is he just kind of, like, stumbling around, or was anything written on the pages? Because it does seem like his ability is specifically, anti the book, not anti anything anyone is trying to do with him. We might genuinely just get the ending of the world is annihilated and that is the end of the series. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I would be, and that is so un-Shonen Jump. But I could see the mangaka just saying, fuck it, you're canceling the series, that means it's gonna have a bad ending. Like, I'm just going to have this be a thing that works in universe as this, and then the universe was annihilated, the end. I don't think that's gonna be the case. I think they're still going to, like, for the sake of having this be a series that will get them, more traditional, like, manga work in the future, I think they're gonna end it on a, like, happy ending, next chapter or the chapter after that. But I don't fully know. Like, I think it would honestly be way better from a writer's perspective, and also as just a clout thing, if the mangaka ends the series on a hard, and I'm just giving it a sad, bad ending because Jump canceled me, and just leaving it as that, like, just as a big ol', like, that, I think that'd be so much more memorable. Like, I've seen so many of the series that have been canceled over the past, like, 3 years, and with a general, like, and we're doing kind of the happy ending, or, and the story goes on. And it's so, like, yeah, it's not that memorable. It mostly just makes you think, yeah, this got canceled. So I wouldn't be against an ending to Red Hood that is just a hard, and this got canceled, but we're going to make you remember this in a very, very crisp, clear way. Ah, and yeah. Good chapter. This kiss is amazing. I cannot believe how like everything in the series up until even in this chapter, it just drips with this vibe of like, yeah, this should have been successful. I cannot believe that this is being canceled. And I mean, if it's not being canceled, like the series could just do another like, and we're doing another humanity. Like, we're just gonna reset this one, and then we're gonna continue on, and now Valu knows all the secrets. Or, like, Valu has to go make the next Red Hood. Or something like that. I could see it, but that's even more fringe to me than the idea of them just ending the series on a down note. Like, that already seems insane. And so, like, yeah, I cannot see the series continuing after this. But I appreciate the moxie. I appreciate the balls. That is Red Hood right on the top for now. Next we've got Neru, Way of the Martial Artist, Chapter 16. Alright, it's that big killing intent, but of course he's gonna stop himself, right? Skill 16, Kohai. Nope, drop the Tonto. Getting sucked in like that would only be giving you what you want. He still managed to stay centered. He still managed to not give in. And yeah, this feels a little clunky. Like the point of this arc hasn't been up to this point like, I want you to lose your mind, or I want to drive you to the point of insanity, or I don't want I want you to totally lose yourself. It has been a like, I want you to kill, but this is the first time where I'm really getting this feeling of like, oh, I guess he wanted him to go all out in like an animalistic sense, as opposed to like intentionally just being cruel and sadistic. Okay, I'm still gonna finish you off with martial arts, but I'm not giving you another scar to cherish. So just blunt force, I assume just like a smack right in the head. It's difficult, but more importantly, it's dangerous. And this does make sense. This is tying back to, his intro with Neru, where clearly, like, he's been training all this time in needlework. He knows how to, like, hit pressure points super, super quickly, super precisely. And I could see that being his, like his fallback of, if I'm ever in the state where I think I'm going to try and commit murder, I would much rather know how to strike this precise point that will knock them out, and that will hopefully stop my bloodlust from going any further. Still don't really get what the center is, but I know his weak points. Okay, right on the foot. And we do know from last chapter that Neru's center is his feet, so damn. That's so cool. Okay, he's going for right there, like right, below the rib cage. And so I wonder if that is the reason why he wants to do it like this. Like, because it is a hard, this could mean life or death, and therefore that'll satisfy my bloodlust. No, it's not the Suigetsu. This is the Kosen. It causes the recipient to collapse. Okay. Okay, and so yeah, it wasn't even a fighting thing necessarily. It is I got sick of the killing arts, so I started studying the healing arts. And shit, damn, so he actually broke his foot. That is such a funny end of just like, yeah, I have broken a bunch of your bones and you broke my foot. So I think it's game over. Let's just stop. And this is a pretty cool note of just like, yeah, he truly is senpai. Like, he totally outshadowed Neru. Neru got a moment here, but it was very, like, understated. And that is legitimately a really cool thing to do for the main character. Like, while setting up all the other characters, just keeping in mind, like, yeah, Neru is the main character. I, as the mangaka, know that you're going to still be focusing on him, so I'm not going to try and eke out a big, like, and he's the center of every single arc, and he's the most important person in each arc. Like, it's been a pretty consistent, actually, that he's had, like, small victories in every single arc here. Okay. Okay. He calls his mom Hizuki-chan? What in the world? This raises so many questions. I mean, him living with his grandpa was not that questionable because, there's a lot of reasons. But the fact that he still has a mom who is around, who is also here at this school. Now, that's a question. So, not sure if Neru's going to end super soon. It felt like it, but I think that was more just like, I wasn't super into this arc. And, like, introducing his mom would be really weird for, like, the finale if we're going to do, like, 1 or 2 more chapters. So maybe we are continuing to go on. Like, Red Hood has the big canned energy, but Neru, not so much. It's still there a little bit, but, like, this was a really nice wrap-up to the arc, and I do think the series could, continue being very good. I was just very worried because we were, getting around that U19 area. And yeah, whereas, like, with the last few chapters of Red Hood, I can definitely see someone buying the final volume if it has all that stuff in it. I don't know if, like, this fight and then, like, Neru talking to his mom would sell me on the final volume of Neru. Overall, Neru pretty darn good. Not fantastic, but this was a good ending to the arc. It was a little underwhelming, but I mean, like, the whole arc has been kind of underwhelming to me. Like, I just wasn't super into it. But I do hope that the series continues on and manages to be really, really good again. Like, I don't want a whole series to tank because of one bad arc. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. Hoping for the best. Neru goes, I'd say below Black Clover. Like, this was a decent Black Clover. And, like, this was okay, but, like, apart from the setup of, him knowing pressure points, like, this didn't really feel like it came full circle. It didn't really feel super satisfying. It was cool, but it wasn't, like, amazing. Yeah, there's something hollow about it. I mean, it might just be, the execution is not what I wanted. Yeah, that's Neru. Gonna take a short, tiny little break, and then we're jumping right into the live stream. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. I summon forth the manga people. Come to me. Come listen to the swan song of manga. Or I suppose not the swan song, that implies the end. Oh no, did I charge my phone? Did I prepare even the slightest for this? Hey bub, hey hap. Time for some jump. I literally a few seconds ago learned that there are in fact translations of Cool Shock Old BT. Ah, yeah, I forgot to charge it. Don't worry, there should be enough charge for me to do the, this stream, but it is going to be cutting it close. I'm gonna turn down the brightness actually a little bit. Maybe that'll squeeze out a little more energy. Oh no, I got a news update for Thor fan favorite Korg, and then it stopped. I mean, I'm not gonna look at it. I'm trying not to get spoiled on Phase 4. But what is Korg doing now? Anyways, so this is viz.com/Shonen Jump, the home of Shonen Jump. It's time for some Shonen Jump reactions. We have Sakamoto Days on the cover of Jump, which I'm quite excited about. I assume this means that it has color pages as well. Unlike me and Roboco, which of course cannot have the cover of Jump because no one would buy the issue. We know this to be canonical. Sakamoto Days is a good series that people like, and therefore I do think that people would pick up Jump if Sakamoto was on the cover. I've been looking at the reflections in Sakamoto's eyes, trying to figure out if there's something there. I don't think so. Like, there's a ... situation here that looks kind of like it could be two eyes and a mouth, sort of. But then, like, the shape of it isn't human-shaped at all. It could be like a Yeti or something. Listen, I don't get paid by viz.com/Shonen Jump. I just use the service. Anyways, the cover is pretty okay. I don't know what, I assume this cover, the intent behind this cover becomes extremely obvious if you can read the giant words here on the, thing being held by Shin. But of course, I cannot read Japanese. And Google Translate refuses to try and translate this, because of course it is actual brushstrokes and not a nice clean font. And Viz decided not to, in fact, translate this. So I'm left staring at this and assuming that there's some sort of fun party situation going on. It can't be an anime. Is it 1 year? It's chapter 45, which feels like it's way too soon. Sakamoto Days almost never takes a year, or takes a week off, apart from the mandated ones. And if we take off the mandated ones, that would be 48 chapters. But I mean, it's getting pretty close. 45 and 48 aren't that far off, so maybe it is. Maybe Sakamoto did take 3 weeks off at some points? So yeah, this is a little bit too early. Unless, I mean, it seems like Red Hood's being canceled, so maybe on the actual time, when Sakamoto Days is really, going to have its anniversary, maybe it's already being spoken for by, the new series or by something else having a big event. So, the anniversary's been pushed up? Is that possible? Yeah, Gamu, that's exactly what I was thinking of. If only I knew what this Japanese said. But I don't know. And the only way I can possibly tell is if I asked Mr. Steak. And I'm sure Mr. Steak would in fact tell me what this says. However, then the next response would be, so when are you going to read Sobote? And I can't have that conversation. So I will wimp out and not understand. Okay, so this is the 1-year anniversary. That explains a lot. That fully explains everything I had. So yeah, I guess it is just booked. So spoilers perhaps for something big happening on the Sakamoto Days actual anniversary. We shall see. But that's enough talking about the cover, and we should probably read the chapter itself. Let's move on to Sakamoto Days, chapter 45. Oh yeah, I've seen this doujin before. Question is, who is going to save her? Ah! Days 45, Strong Assault. God, this looks so cool. And it is really interesting, like, yeah, I see him for the sake of the reference. They all wrote out their names in English, except for Lou, who, of course, being a triad girl, had to still write it out in, God, that's so cool. It's honestly cooler than if she had, written it out in English. Or, like, I say English, but that would just be Romanji. God, these fits look so good. Like, I'm so into Heisuke's, like, a big windbreaker. It helps it's got, like, Ava Unit 1 colors to it. It just, it looks so sick. Whereas, like, there's no reason why I shouldn't like Nagamo's, look, but he's never worn anything that I think looks good. Now, Minimalist seems, I mean, last time we checked up on Minimalist, he killed like 30 people. So I don't know why he wouldn't just kill her. Unless we're about to get some sudden characterization. Also, it's interesting that the tattoo here, it seems like it does like stop right here. Like, I assumed it would just, like, keep on going forever on both sides. Like, even if you were to lift up his hair here and here, like, I assumed it would still, keep on going all the way around his head. But no, it looks like it does actually just straight up stop there. God, her eyes are so expressive. Like, she has... I've never really thought about it until now. I guess because we rarely ever see her, like, entirely by herself in a panel. But she's got big, like, early Komi-san energy to her eyes. They're so perfectly round and expressive. I assume the tattoo artist became a tiny sphere. Now, when she says, what about the money inside? Does she mean that in the sense, like, is she just saying, like, how do I put this? It feels like she's completely fine with the idea of the register no longer existing. But she is like, well, we should have taken the money out first. Or is she just saying fundamentally, like, I understand how the entire machine could fit into this ball, but I don't understand how the money could fit into the ball. Feels like he's setting up for another trick. Very direct. Very, very direct. Yeah, this seems kind of scary. This seems like she might be in peril. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Did she do that? God damn. And yeah, the tattoo does, like, in the previous shot, it, like, the perspective still makes sense. It's still, like, ending before, like, a good inch or two before we get to his ear. That's probably not what I'm supposed to be fixating on in this shot, but still. Also, just the perspective on this is so phenomenal. I can't get over, like, looking at the dreads, and then her hand, and then this hand, and then the knife. Like, this whole section right here is so good. And was that a non-lethal stab? Like, has she been replaced with someone else? Or does she, is she just good at this? Did she just do a big non-lethal neck stab? I mean, this isn't the kind of thing I would expect from Sakamoto Days, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got the big reveal of, oh, the reason why, Taro can't kill is because, of course, my own bloodlust, I, Sakamoto's wife, am so filled with bloodlust that if I see him kill, I will also enter a frenzy of murder. And so he gave up the killing life specifically to stop triggering me. Okay, it was just Nagamo. I got it. And you know what? This fit still looks fucking awful. I should probably say, for someone who does, like, put on, like, someone who can perfectly imitate other people, I guess I should probably clarify that every time he's imitated someone else, those have been, of course, good fits. So I am technically wrong when I said he has never worn anything I liked. But when he dresses as himself, I do think he looks like shit. Also, let me make sure that I'm not actually just rewriting reality. No, I did not think for a second this was Nagamo. I understand. When I said I got it, what I meant was, I understand now that I'm looking at Nagamo. I understand that he must have been imitating Sakamoto's wife this whole time. But no, I am not going to try and be that guy who says, in hindsight, oh, by the way, I knew the twist the entire time. I just didn't want to say it for your sake. No, this got me. I mean, he's been around for a while. I don't think about Nagamo doing anything. Even amongst the order, when I was thinking about the, like, which characters, in the order are going to have focus, considering that there's so few so few serial killers for how many members of the order there are, plus the cast of Sakamoto's, even amongst all of that, I still wasn't really thinking about whether Nagamo was going to have a scene or not. And there's no reason for that. Like, he's had a strong presence in the whole series from the start, or, like, from whenever he got introduced very early on. I just don't think about him for some reason. I assume the only way to kill him is, in fact, to shoot right here on the golden ratio tattoo. Like, you need to give your bullet the super spin in order for it to fully penetrate his neck. Oh, this is so cool. What are these tattoos? Nagamo, what the hell is happening to your body? It's like, this is just, I assume, a 2, and then there's the phi symbol, and then either just a rectangle or a 1, and then a percentage. I cannot comprehend what he's trying to do. I mean, with the golden ratio thing, it might just be that he has this, like, obsession with numbers. Now, does minding the store mean he's not going to kill Minimalist? Like, is there a rule in the Sakamoto family book stating if someone who is not a part of the family is minding the store, they also have to follow the rules? Perhaps. Like, I was reading some Silver Age Marvel comics recently, and I lost my mind when, I forget what, who he was fighting. But there's a scene very early on, like, within the first 10 Iron Man issues, where Iron Man is, like, fighting someone, and he, like, he does this with his arm, and he flips up a calculator that is on his arm, and he just, like, punches in basic, it's not like he's doing hard calculus or anything. He is just, like, doing, normal arithmetic on this calculator in order to figure something out. And it is this wild, like, I guess this had to be impressive at the time, because, of course, like, this was pre, like, super tiny calculators being a normal thing. But it is the most, like, in a world where I'm so used to comic book characters saying, like, oh, just so you know, while I'm, swinging on my web, I'm running all the mental calculations in my head in order to scientifically figure out where to swing from next. Or when I'm shooting, punch beams out of my eyes, I'm also doing extremely complicated math in order to figure out how to bounce it everywhere. Like, with that context, it feels so weird to go back to see when Iron Man had to just pull out a grade school calculator to do math in midair. The asbestos stuff that Johnny has is unbelievable. Like, the Baxter building is wacky, but also, like, Johnny lives with Sue in a, like, just in a suburb. And we've had multiple scenes where, like, they've just pointed out, by the way, just so you know, like, everything in his room is made of asbestos. Very worrying in hindsight. Is he going to just shoot straight down? I mean, first of all, what are the odds? But secondarily, is this how we're going to get one of the kills? Like, will one of the 4 serial killers in this arc be taken out via a random shot just because? Just because one of our, like, main ally characters happens to be in Tokyo Tower? Oh, come on, Apart. Let this man enjoy his tiny ice cream in peace. God damn. Yeah, see, this is the kind of thing that I'm used to. Which is insane, but yeah, like, the concept of, I'm going to shatter this glass and then shoot a sniper bullet that will then bounce off of the glass in a crazy ricochet pattern as the glass is all falling in order to kill someone. But then again, to be fair, this is also the one character in Sakamoto Days who I could see pulling out a grade school calculator in order to figure this out beforehand. The fact that he doesn't is actually very surprising. Oh no, the idea of Heisuke being Tendo is very concerning. That's a real Darkest Timeline situation. Oh no, the ice cream! Holy moly, those reflexes. How much is this window gonna cost, yo? Also, Peasuke putting in work. Oh, this is so cool. Also, actually, now that I think about this, now that I think about what is happening for a moment, and yes, this is happening in the same manga as, bouncing a bullet off a falling glass, but I'm not sure how in any way I understand the physics behind, I'm going to take my microfiber wire, and I'm going to use it to stop this bullet in midair, because it's not doing a ping or anything. Like, it's not being pinged off. It's not being, like, sliced. It is just doing sort of a kirk, which I assume is the sound of it, like, slowing down and stopping in his palm. I mean, I'm also a little wary about the physics of being on the ground and then using your microfiber wire to fly all the way up to the top of Tokyo Tower before slashing all the windows apart with your wire. Like, at the very least, you should have something heavy on the wire in order to do this, right? Otherwise, it should just, like, slap off the windows like they're noodles. Oh, shoot! Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy! Ah, I see the edgy idea here of, oh, the thread is used to, you know, symbolize the connections between people. So I use the thread in order to cut them apart. Not so that I can, you know, destroy them, but so that I can then connect to them. Luckily, he was surprisingly close. Is this Sakamoto? Did Sakamoto show up? Okay, I mean, he did, but I thought in this moment it was a, like Heisuke was calming down because he was like, oh, Sakamoto just, you know, cut the wires and saved my life. As opposed to Sakamoto is in the elevator behind you while I am being slashed to bits by the, you know, by this microfiber wire. Also, this paneling is so good. I could easily skim by it, but I don't want to. Let's stop for a moment to look at this tiny, you know, slim little panel of the, like, of the doors opening. It's so good. It's so scary. It looks like something out of a horror movie. And yeah, I shouldn't discount how dumb Heisuke is. Let us never forget. I knew you'd notice my bullet signal. Oh, all right. I'm very curious to see. I mean, I doubt we're getting an explanation, quote unquote, but I'm so curious to, like, to know if we're going to get anything for these serial killers. Like, with the assassins at the very least, like, you know, they went to an assassin academy. You know, like, I can buy that their bodies were trained to that extent because of that. But, like, how did Dump get giant stabby things? How did Apart learn to do any of this? Like, there is, you know, there's a level which I can be like, yeah, sure, I can fully buy that, you know, that you can be so obsessed with crushing people that you can just, you know, without any special training or anything, learn how to crush anything down into a tiny little ball. But there's such a difference between that and, like, having this insane control over microfilament wire, where it's like, that feels way too intentional. There's gotta be something else there. Apart has the most main character energy of the four. Like, I really thought it was going to be Minimalist, but Minimalist seems way more like just, you know, like, the really surprisingly strong one. Whereas Apart is just the main character for some reason. In a group of 4 people who don't know each other in any way whatsoever. It's so wild that they have kind of a dynamic like that. But yeah, like, if we're getting a backstory from any of them, or, you know, like, a backstory that also includes how the heck they can do any of this, I think we're going to get one from Apart. Because, like, we have one from Dump. But is that a backstory? Is I kept on, you know, breaking up with people and then killing them? Is that a backstory? I mean, like, that's more of just a general motivation. As opposed to, like, you know, like what we got with, oh, I forgot his name already. I looked it up like 2 chapters ago. Deerhead Man. Like, that was way more of a, here's what he was like prior to being a killer, and this is why he's a killer, and then, you know, this is how he met Slur. Like, we might get, you know, that level of information from Apart. But we could also just not. All 4 of them could just go down in this arc, and we could just end it at a, they were serial killers, what do you want? They were just 4 strong people, and now they're dead. I will never forget Slur. Like, 2 or 3 chapters ago when we saw Deer Man's phone, I was more surprised when the phone said X on it. That was the big, like, oh, right, his name is X, or, like, we were introduced to him as X. He, you know, he does the thing where he paints the big X in blood. He has completely filled my mind with just, oh, right, it's Slur. Ah, yeah, good chapter. And this does raise a big question now. What about the money inside? Like, knowing now that he was, like, minding the store, this raises an even bigger question of, like, yeah, I'm sure some of this is Nagamo, you know, trying to maintain the illusion. But I also am curious as to whether, like, did Sakamoto say it's okay if the cash, you know, like, this is such a stupid idea. Why am I fixating on this? I don't think anyone cares about this. You just see the first 2 letters and then the rest is off page. So that is Sakamoto Days. I should probably say, before we add anything to it, the current ranking is Red Hood, Elusive Samurai, Black Clover, and Neru. I'm really digging this, like, what feels like the ending of Red Hood. There's a lot of missed potential, but at the same time, it's good for what it is. Like, if my series was being canceled in Jump, I don't know if I could do it any better than that. Amongst all of those, I think this was more fun than the Black Clover chapter. So, yeah, right in the middle. That feels pretty good. I could quibble a little with Black Clover because it was a good Black Clover, but I don't think it was that good. Like, this was honestly more memorable. But yes, I will end this on the note of, did Sakamoto specifically say to Nagamo, even if the cash machine is destroyed, make sure the money is still out of it? I am genuinely really curious to see, like, if we had a big tell-all, or if we could see, like, the structure of what Red Hood was supposed to be paced like. Like, how much were werewolves going to show up that much? Because it seems very fundamental. But also, like, I could also see this just being the big, like, yeah, werewolves were going to be a big thing at the start. They were going to be a background thing for the series, and then at the very end, we were going to tie it back because, it was the first big thing. It's the reason why Valu wanted to be a hunter. Anyways, that is Sakamoto Days. Next, we have... Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, Undead Unluck, Chapter 85, Round 1. Oh, that looks so good. Like, it's not my favorite Undead Unluck color page by a long shot, but it still looks pretty good. Okay. And yeah, like, we saw it on a black and white page, but I really like that we have a color page where Andy's tattoos have all been rewritten in Japanese. Like, that's such a fun gimmick, and I like it even more because we have gotten it twice. And this is round 1, so there's still the possibility of failure. What is this going to be? Because, like, this top is an artifact, right? So, like, in addition to it just being we're going to play with this top, like, what else is going to be there? Are we going to have the big, by the way, this thing creates tornadoes? Also, can she play in any sane way after being, like, not mind broken? She's definitely not broken. But, like, after having all of that information pumped into her brain, it'd be a really rough punchline if we end this arc with Andy and Fuko finally, getting together, and Andy just straight up says, without any barriers in front of them, "I love you." And then Fuko looks at him and says, "I actually like spring a lot more." It's possible. It can happen. But okay, so obviously this is not an attack. He is just trying to spin the top, I think? I'm gonna say Andy's sensor bar is bigger. "You will learn to love a rule. Utterly preposterous." Okay, it's split in half. Round 1, negate tops. But okay, so I thought for a moment this was just him, like, venting his frustration, or, like, the rules around all of this, like, stopping him from, like, stopping God from being able to, like, override him and, like, punch Fuko in the face. But no, this is just part of the game. He did just make a Beyblade stadium. There is one thing that shall differ this from an ordinary game. Do you mean the fact that the tops are half a top? Because that's gonna be bad. There's no way that these things are gonna spin very well. Burn isn't really my speed. Of all the Uma we've had so far, like, which one is my speed? Like, definitely not Spoil. Spoil is gross as heck. Maybe Clothy. We don't have a lot of great examples, to be fair. I do like books, but I don't want to turn into a book. It might just be Clothy at this point. But that's less of a sexy thing and more of just, like, a mild fetish of sorts, I suppose? We shall summon forth vessels of our choosing here, and turn their bodies into tops for us to use. Okay. So we can turn the negators into bit beasts, and I assume then that each of these tops will have the ability of their negator ability, right? I'd have to, like, get a second look at Uma Galaxy. It's been a while. Actually, let me just do that right now. Why not? Really hoping that the wiki has an Uma Galaxy image. I can kind of see the appeal. Like, it's got the... Uma Galaxy got muscle. And Uma Galaxy also, got a mouth. Uma Galaxy got that, that very literal starfucker appeal to it. And yeah, I'm wondering how potentially canonical this cover page and the previous one are. Like, not in the sense that this is literally a thing that has happened, But like, I wonder if when Fuko so I've completely bought into the Beyblade rot brain right now. Like, I can't envision what they're going to be using as looking like these. I am just envisioning Beyblades. But like, if we are playing by Beyblade rules, where you have a bit beast that then comes out of the middle points. If Andy's like, if Fuko makes an undead bit beast, and that is Andy, and then Andy comes out of it, will his tattoos be changed into Japanese? I think they might be. Like, I think it might fundamentally be within Uma Spring, Uma Spring carries this very traditional Japanese aesthetic. And as a part of that, actual Japanese writing continues to exist within him. So curious. Like, if Fuko turned herself into a top, would the top have the word, the phrase good luck written in Japanese on it? So, first or second choice, you may decide the order in which we shall choose. So, I'm assuming, based on their backstory, I'm assuming that, Spring is going to choose Unbreakable, right? Because that also just makes the most sense. Like, out of these abilities, if we can only use the ones, projected here, then of these, Unmove would be interesting, but not great as a, there's really no advantage to making the other top, your opponent's top unmovable. Fuko definitely doesn't want to break any of them, so she has to win by getting the top to, leave the Beyblade Stadium. Unjustice works pretty darn well. That's an easy, if you're trying to recover, then you're not going to recover. Or if you're trying to go left, you instead go right. There's tons of ways in which you could use that to, knock someone out. Undead makes sense as just a hard, yeah, you're just not going to be able to kill Andy, so that's fine. Untruth is, strong for the same reasons as Unjustice. They're both okay tops. Unstoppable is pretty scary. Because of the ring out rule. And also because I don't fully know how much control the negator will have over the top, or if it's just a literal, this is just a top infused with that ability. Because, I believe in Top. I mean, his name is literally Top. If there's any human being on the planet who's probably going to be good at being a top, it's him. But I'd be worried that, he wouldn't be able to compensate for his body being a literal top. And so he might just, fly right out of the ring. So, Unbreakable and Undead feel like really, really strong options. Because it is a big, you don't have to worry about your top, and then all you have to worry about is getting the other top to, get ringed out. Actually, wait a minute. The rules also included, should stop, go out of bounds, or shatter. So actually, Unmove would also be very, very strong. I didn't really think about that. I was thinking of it as a, the top is still going to be spinning, it's just not going to be moving around the arena. But if Unmove includes literally stops your opponent's top from moving, then that's actually unbelievably, just hands down the best. I guess it depends on where the eyes are on the top. Oh no, Gummy, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that should be saved for, a tiebreaker or something. Or how do I put this? It'd be very good for a top where you don't know how, how to make sure it doesn't break. Because that's very easy, we're just going to tie this round. It would make a lot of sense if Fuko's already winning. And then she wants to just, tie one up really fast. Okay. Okay. So he's taking Undead? So, depending on how much conscience, the negator has over their existence as a top, this could be very, very good. Because Andy's not going to try and kill anyone. Also, for some reason, Andy always has a very sort of, casual energy to him. But this reminds me so much of Mash from Mashal, actually. I think it is just this, a very calm, slight enthusiasm to literally being turned into a top. Also, I sure hope this isn't a situation, it has to be one in which the tops have the power of the negator. It can't be one where it's just and these are normal tops, and the only, reason this is important is because they could die. Because, Andy's already past the point where he's trying to actively kill himself. Or, he wants to genuinely die. So it would be very, very tragic if he were to die right now in chapter 85 because he was turned into a top and lost, the power of undead. Oh no, oh no. I didn't even think about the potential innuendo there. Oh, filthy, filthy minds. How dare you? This is a clean, perfectly reasonable reaction. This prevents you from ever touching undead to load him with unluck, making that plan invalid. But yeah, makes sense, like, from his perspective as I know this is a thing you do, but we know that Fuko was not planning to do that from the start. Like, from the very beginning, he was, like, this was never going to be a problem solved with the unluck bullets. And okay, she chooses Unbreakable. I mean, she saw the backstory. She knows that, Ishin has I mean, that's the thing. It really depends on who it was. Was that Ishin? Was that just someone else wearing the same armor? Was that just a different Unbreakable? Because also, that does raise the question of, like, did Spring know that, his friend at that point was Unbreakable? Like, I was thinking of that as the obvious, like, of course he's going to choose Unbreakable to be his top. But it's possible he just had no idea that Ishin was around, if this is in fact Ishin. It's pretty unfair when you are in a pair with someone literally named Top. It is the ultimate. You can be nothing else but the bottom. No one else will allow this to happen. Yeah, because when Billy left the Union, Ishin got, like, stabbed, right? Yeah, like, Ishin's been sort of just, like, on death's door for a while. The only thing that's... I mean, I've been saying he all this time, so I guess I'll continue with that for a little bit. But, because, like, I feel like they've said he for Ishin before. But anyways, like, yeah, the only thing we know that Ishin's really done as of late has been making, like, the new round table. And that's not even a thing we saw. It's just the thing that we know had to have happened, because it's all written in, Japanese, and it's got the big symbol on it. Yeah. The teeth being, like, exactly the same is really, really good. I don't know what this next page is gonna be. Where art I? Oh boy. Okay, let's see how she tries to explain this one. I'm about to have a spinning top battle with Spring, and I'd like to turn you into a top. He said if the top breaks, the person dies. Oh. I'm very glad they didn't have to translate this one, because this is the most, like, yeah, this is just on its face. You know what this means. Nay, I cannot. But yeah, it is the perfect move. Andy can't die, Ishin can't break. Not only do I know him not, his face is terror embodied. First of all, Ishin, this is your face, more or less. It's not that much scarier. But okay, I feel like that's gotta be an ancestor then. Like, either an ancestor or the previous Unbreakable, one of the two. But yeah, really bold strategy here. And I mean, this is still a good strategy, even if Ishin can't, like, break through. Like, just, for the sake of their abilities. It's gonna be real wild if we get the big reveal of, hey, by the way, their negator abilities don't matter. You know what? Yeah, you're right. I should really keep that in mind. Like, Ishin is never out of this armor, so I imagine, like, they don't really think about the armor very much. In the same way that, like, almost any time I have ever worn a top that I'm not, like, like, a top that is just a top that I own, a top that I like, and someone has mentioned in any way, whether they like it or don't like it, I am always just stunned and confused. Like, I almost never remember what I am wearing. Like, apart from a general, like, oh, I want to wear a red top, so I wore a red one, or, like, I'm wearing red and blue. But if there's anything written on it, like, I could not tell you what I'm wearing right now without looking down. You're talking to the negator. That's the biggest coward in the organization. Huh, that's interesting. So Unbreakable can only make things like weapons and simple cages. They can't make armors for others to wear or anything of that nature. And yet they're able to make their own armor. But I mean, they did make Tatiana's armor, right? I definitely know I'm wearing clothes, though I don't, like, sense my clothing that much. Like, I had a long talk a while back with my fiance where, like, we had this big miscommunication, and I realized, like, oh, I just don't have any sense of, like, whether I am, like, not whether I'm wearing clothing or not, but, like, once I am wearing clothing, it is basically just, like, background noise. It doesn't really mean anything to me. Even something like, I almost always wear jeans. I don't think they're uncomfortable in any way. But a lot of people do have the big, like, oh, I would never ever wear jeans if I didn't have to because it hurts so much. I really wonder what the reason is behind, not being able to make their own armor. I think it's gotta be like, if this is armor that's been, like, passed down through their, like, through their family, it might be a situation where it's like, they can only make, like, some negator abilities are also connected to liking something, or, like, your attachment to someone, or your attachment to something. So, like, I don't know how they would be able to just make the table so easily. unless it is a, like, they can only replicate things that they have a close attachment to. And so they can make their own armor, and they can, like, if their armor were broken, they could repair it. But they can't, and, because they care about the Union, they're able to, like, make a copy of the table. But they wouldn't be able to just, like, make custom armor for anyone else. Yeah. The thing that makes the most sense to me then would be, like, if it is a, like, they can only make a specific design. So Ishin can make this armor specifically. And if someone else from the Union wanted this exact armor, then they can make a copy of it. But because no one else in the Union has this body type, they, like, it's pointless. Because, yeah, it's not even cowardice to, like, not make armor for other people. But I feel like that can't be what it is. Like, I'm not saying that Ishin's not a coward, but rather, like, whatever's going on here has to be something else. Like, Billy definitely does not have the correct reading of this situation. By the way, I said this last chapter, but I want to just reiterate it. I fully do not think that the undersymbol is the undersymbol anymore. Like, I fundamentally think, like, just because of how often it showed up on the artifacts that that Spring collected, and because we had that shot of, God up in heaven, or, not like a shot of God, but the light beaming from the clouds that looked a lot like the symbol, I'm guessing that is supposed to just be the God symbol, and Under has, like, taken it on as being their symbol. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, the classic. How could I not have predicted this? Of course. Of course, Ishin is a woman. I fell for the oldest trick in the book. This is just the Tatiana twist, but all over again and from the start, and so much more of a okay. So yeah, it isn't. I mean, it is still cowardice, but it's not a, like, I'm being selfish and I don't want to make armor for everyone. It is a fundamental, like, I'm so scared of making the armor bad that I haven't been able to make armor for anyone else. Tatiana would just be an instant win. Like, that'd be such an easy, just, put her right in the center and go do the big spoosh and just, push the other top out immediately, instantly. Super easy peasy. Honestly, like, if friends of friends work out as well, I mean, Billy is not Fuko's friend right now. But if Fuko could, choose Unbalance, I mean, Unbalance is also a big wild card because we have no idea what they're like. But I think Unbalance would also be pretty darn good, because if you can just unbalance someone else, the other top, it's just gonna fall over. That's it, game over. The first Ishin in the Edo period made armor for everyone. So is Ishin a hereditary title then? And so yeah, that's definitely, actually, that might not even be the Ishin then that Spring knew. Spring might have just known a random person who had that same armor. Oh, that's so cool. And again, I'm so curious about how the timeline works. Like, did all of this just happen without, without, the Union's influence until a point where the arc, then, how does that work? Also, yeah, you're right. The lead Unbreakable does have a different helmet. My Unbreakable shall prove through the course of this battle that I wage, the blossoms omens of good, the warmth that spring holds within. So unbelievably fitting for this moment. I'm sure that the first loved the spring. But it's not touchy-feely time, it's time for Beyblade! But okay, she's going in! The Miko coin is very good. Alright, here we go. Which shall survive? Undead or unbreakable? Onward to battle! How does the sign work? I think we definitely need to see Ishin outside of the armor in order to then do a comparison. Because, like, her body shape could be, anything. Like, how do I put this? Like, this area could be padded, or that could just be, the way she is. What I'm really, really curious about is, like, super early shots. Because I feel like even, in this chapter, like, she's, big and she's got some muscle on her. But I think, like, even this is, like, a smaller Ishin than we had in the past. Like, I could be wrong, but I feel like, not that Ishin was, like, Tatiana-sized, but, like, I feel like the design was bigger compared to Fuko. And I wonder if the mangaka, fudged it a little bit. I wouldn't be against it, I'm just curious about that. Also, are we playing with this top? Like, fundamentally, because, like, what is the effect we get for Undead? Like, we don't see what happens here, but, like, okay, what's the transition with Ishin? Okay, so yeah, Fuko is still holding half the top there. So I guess it is supposed to be like half of the top is the original top, and the second half is the negator that then, like, goes into it and, transforms it. Oh no, oh no. Let me pull this up for everyone. This is bad. This is supremely dumb. But yeah, I keep on saying Beyblade, but this is way more Shaolin Showdown. And I am here for it. I'm also just, like, I am adoring how we are capable of, like, over the course of, like, I don't even know if this entire loop is going to be finished. Like, how do I put this? I'm certain that this loop is going to end, the world is going to end, and we're going to do another loop. In that time frame, I still don't know if we are going to know all of the members of the Union. Like, my guess is still that Nico is not going to have, like, any, like, a serious, we're going to, like, do a backstory and all that. I don't think we're going to do that until the second loop. And I really enjoy that. Like, I'm really, really into the concept of a series where, like, very, very early on, we set up who the main, like, ally faction is going to be. And they're enemies at that point, but they're still, the ally faction. And then over the course of a long, long, long time, over the course of, like, most of the series, we have been exploring each of those characters and giving them all their fair due. It's the kind of thing that's, like, I appreciate even more now that I've, now that we're reading Red Hood, and now that Red Hood is clearly being canned. Because, like, you can clearly see the characters that were meant to go on and do interesting things, and how, like, their connections to one another were going to be, like, how they were going to grow, how all that was going to be teased out. And, like, the series has done a very good job of still making them seem good for, the short period that they have. But it just makes me, want the, like, 100 chapter, 200 chapter length, full, full run that could have been, in which all the stuff came out over the course of a longer period and all got more time to soak in and sit. And we got to get the backstories in a, less compressed manner. That's Undead Unluck. Does it go right to the top? I mean, yeah, it's heads and tails above Red Hood. There's no doubt about it. Just on every aspect, it is so good. Unlike the reboots to Shaolin Showdown. Shaolin Showdown, still great. I haven't, like, gone back to rewatch the whole thing, but it's, like, I've rewatched a few episodes, and it still holds up. It's still what I remember it being. It was still very, very solid. But when they did the reboot, it was not great. It was a real, like, why did you do any of these changes? Like, why was the original concept that was already clearly proven not good enough to just continue doing if you wanted to continue doing it? The world we may never know. Undead Unluck right at the top. Let's get into, right, it is just Dr. Stone, My Hero, and then Roboco, right? I feel like I'm missing something. If I am, do let me know and I'll sneak it in. But without any further notice, we're just going to move swiftly on to Dr. Stone, chapter 216. Now, I'm pretty sure I didn't post the chapter breaks before this, but that's fine. It's fine. So, this rocket math is bad. I have to assume that, like, Chrome's ideas that are going, like, Chrome and Suika's concepts they've been working on that will lead to, the creation of a rocket that can do a round trip, or, like, a pod that can be sent back, or whatever that is. I feel like that's gotta also tie into, how do I put it? Like, not tie in, that's the wrong phrase. Like, I think it also has to help the stability of these launches. I don't really like, the fact that they aren't just coming it right out and saying it, though, because I feel like at this point, it would make more sense to just straight out say, hey, what if, clearly we're not making the best progress here. So, what if we're also, what if we just tell you that I really want you guys to come back? I don't want you to sacrifice yourselves. And clearly, like, this plan of, a one-way rocket isn't really helping that much more. So why don't we just have a two-way rocket from the very start? Also, as we brought up last chapter, it's going to be real weird if they spend years and years and years doing this, and we have no visual changes for anyone. So we'll see. Like, I was fine with no visual changes last chapter, but if we're going to treat this as a time skip and there are no physical changes, it's going to be real strange. Because, yeah, I'm really worried we're going to hit a point where it's like, here is, like, I forget exactly how long it took Suika to break everyone out. Was it, like, 8 years? But I'm worried that we're going to do another of that length in time, and she will not visually change in any way whatsoever. Yeah, Suika and everyone else has had the exact, like, they've all had the same amount of stonings, -1. Like, Suika was not a part of that last, the last big stoning. But everyone else has, received the same amount of stone juice. Or, when I say everyone, I don't mean everyone. Yeah. Like, there's a few quibbles there, but yeah. Okay, is this launch going? Is it going? Are they doing it? Okay, the satellite is in space. Z equals 216. Hello, worlds. Hello world, of course, being, I'd say one of the most famous computing phrases. I mean, just because it is it is the thing you write for your first program. But, like, they've already written programs already, right? So, like, what is the significance of Hello World in this scenario? Like, is it the first transmission from space, perhaps? Oh, by the way, we were okay before, but as of late, the sides have been having this weird glitching thing on Viz, where, like, the left and the right both kind of, like, stay there for a little bit. So, apologies if that happens. I'm going to just sort of, like, dead face it, just so you know, like, why it might be glitching out like crazy on the side, or, like, you guys are only seeing this side, so it shouldn't even be that bad to you. But yeah, just in case you're wondering what's going on there, that is a thing I've been just sort of living with for a sec. It literally just started today. I was using the Viz app, like, yesterday, I think. If not yesterday, then, like, the day before. And this was not happening, so I'm very concerned as to why this is happening now. Okay. Yeah, the two-way moon rocket that we want to make would have to be 5 times bigger than these other ones, at least according to size calculations. And yeah, I do. I understand it. I understand the impulse of like before I didn't really get it, but this statement makes me understand it. Like, yeah, the sheer scale makes, how do I put this? I get how much more you would have to put into it. Ooh, I am really curious to see what the globe looks like in total. Like, I'm sure I could probably go up on, go online and figure out, like, hey, what would the Earth look like in 3,700 years? Knowing Boichi, I assume that is exactly what he did, so that he can just photo reference it. And I will admit, this is a situation where, of course, you would want to have Chelsea around. Oh, this is so cool! Okay, let's start from right to left. Let's try not to get super overwhelmed. So, the Yellowstone volcano's cataclysmic eruptions transformed the Gallatin Mountains into a lake. Panama Canal filled in, turned into marshes and greenlands, or grasslands rather. Desert spreads to the north. Yeah, having it written out as 58th century is pretty wild. Like, it's the same in a lot of series where the timescale is different, but just seeing it written is really trippy. Like, almost everyone I know who is, like, this is not a spoiler, but Code Geass uses a, like, in-universe, the timescale is different. Or, how do I put this? Like, their 0 is different because, like, they're not working with, BC and AD. And so the text you see on screen most of the time is, I think, like, 2071 is the date they're at. But that doesn't, like, the date that actually corresponds to in our time would be, like, the 1940s or something. Like, it is this big, like, it seems like, okay, it's a little bit in the future, I can understand that. But it is actually a little bit into the past, but just super advanced. And even though it doesn't relatively matter that much because it is a fictional world, it still trips people up so much. And I get it. It's because, like, it's really weird. It's that fundamental, like, using your own existence as a measuring stick and then being thrown off when, like, what you are looking at does not fully correspond to what you expect the results to be. Okay, down here in Australia, coral reefs added enough land to the continent to be visible by satellites. Let me go up here, actually. Plains of China are wetlands with massive rivers. God damn. After petrification, nuclear power plants caused massive damage to their environs. Radiation is rendered harmless after 10 to 100 years of extensive dilution. Majority of Africa's deserts are now savannas and forests. Damn, that's really cool. And yeah, like, just seeing that the fundamental shape of these continents is different is really messing with me. Like, there's one thing to just accept that, yeah, like, the world has recovered a lot, and there, it's fundamentally very different to be looking at, like, just looking at the geography and not finding it to be exactly familiar. It's so alien. It's so, like, oh, it's just a little bit different, and that feels so weird. Plenty of ice as well. Like, the ice caps have both, like, not recovered necessarily, but they've still, they've gotten wider, it looks like. Doing just fine. Oh, man. Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to see, so I'm very, very happy that we do have it. Dr. Stone's good sometimes. I see Perseus has gone from, their flagship to just, like, the name of this type of, ship. What are they doing here? I guess they're just celebrating, right? Yeah. Right. Got the space telescope now. What are they going to see? The moon's surface is ours to view. I can use my powerful vision to locate Y-Man. Calm down, Kohaku. It is genuinely like I do really like it as well. But if you had asked me, like, when we first got her super good vision, if we were going to stick with that as her thing, I would have said no. I definitely, like, I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure if you check out my early reactions, I probably thought her thing was more like super flexibility, or like, she's got the good eyesight, but she's also very fit, or, she's just generally all around good. I'm really, really happy that she has such pride in her eyesight, and that it has been consistently a really strong thing. And yeah, she did discover an oil field by spotting a black blotch in an aerial photo. Like, it is genuinely very much possible. I love these 3 panels. I really do like that we move from this is kind of a, a bonehead move, but a very well-intentioned bonehead move, to like, no, she did already do this before. Like, she can genuinely probably find out where my man is because of this. Also, boy, this skirt was definitely not designed for this pose, right? Like, there is no coverage here. I wasn't even thinking about that. You might prove quite the asset up in space. This is the most, like, it is truly the most risque thing to cosplay, not because it is necessarily, like, any more, like, skin-bearing than other, like, skimpy outfits, but just because of the fundamental meta-knowledge of she's not wearing panties. Like, you can definitely simulate it with just, like, a skin-colored, like, skin-colored underwear. But still, it is this fundamental, like, I know for a fact that there's nothing there. Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy that this is a big problem, that they are, like, realistically talking about the scale of it. But yeah, like, how in the world could they possibly build a rocket that is 5 times bigger than one of these once, let alone multiple times? Like, there's no way if they don't just straight up tell everyone, hey, we want to do this, right? No one told Kohaku not to, not to be that close to the TV. This is an accurate depiction of me circa, like, the year 2000 as a little kid. Senko, Zaino! This is one hell of a wire. Did they make it extra long knowing that this thing was going to, be, like, someone was going to jump out of the building with it? I mean, this is the Kingdom of Science, so they may have done that. They may have specifically been like, yeah, we know this is gonna happen. Oh no, he's gonna unstone Elon Musk. Oh man, I'm not looking forward to the arc where they depetrify Trump and they have to go through the rest of the Trump years as presidents. Like, imagine being, let out of stone after 3,700 years and being told, but Donald Trump is still the president of America. We have to let him finish the term. Okay. There's one little spot that changes little by little over time. So it's got to be, like, cloaked, right? Yeah. Like, it wouldn't be insane for them to have the wire. Like, to me, it's just insane that they would, like, have a giant long spool of wire there for something that presumably isn't supposed to leave the room. We finally found you. Why, hello there, Y-Man. Y-Man is going to be pissed when they land on the moon and scream, Y-Man! That's going to be the big, like, oh no, that's what you call me? That's my alias? Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. That, like, they lined the Perseus with Medusas because, the Medusas are naturally, like, impossible to track. So, or, naturally, quote unquote, like, as part of their design. They don't show up on sonar or radar. So it would make a lot of sense for him to just, like, have his base be a giant-ass pile of Medusas. I mean, like, it's possible Y-Man has, like, a fully equipped moon base, but it's also possible that Y-Man just has a machine that makes Medusas. And so it's a real, like, when all you have is a machine that makes Medusas, do everything using Medusas. Oh, really? Yeah, you're right. So I didn't even notice the screw things that are just ripped right off. Oh, that's such a good detail. Yeah, and so consistent. I am a little concerned by the fact that when Kohaku looks upwards, her hairline looks exactly like Yo's. That's worrying to me. That's a real, like, if you're standing on a high surface and looking down at Yo, does he look exactly like Kohaku? What am I talking about? But yeah, apart from this one image, we got some fantastic Kohaku in this chapter. I mean, I didn't like Ginro, and then I stumbled across that one person on Pixiv who consistently draws sexy Ginro for no apparent reason, apart from they seem to really adore Ginro, and I got swung over, and now I like Ginro, so it's really only a matter of time. Yeah, Chelsea made total sense. The only thing I am, like, I'm not even against it now. I was against it at the start because it felt like something that might just be a plot hole. But now, like, we have focused really hard on the fact that, yes, Chrome and Suika trying to make a return rocket is really, really weird and impossible. And so I've come around, I'm feeling way better about it because it's been pointed out, which means that, like, however this plotline is going to resolve, it is one in which, they clearly understand that, like, that this is going to be a difficult one. Or that, like, the way to make this work, like, if they don't just beg the rest, everyone else to go along with the, like, two-way rocket plan. If Chrome and Suika do just stone the entire world and make the return rockets, or if we get some other wacky solution to it, like, I'll be more okay with it. But yeah, I mean, they're still on the theory. And I mean, to be fair, I also get that because, like, how in the world are they supposed to make any physical progress? Like, they can't just steal parts. I mean, they could, but even then, these parts are being machined for, a rocket that is not nearly the size they need it to be. So yeah, like, how they could physically do it is totally boggling. My guess is that they're going to, like, they are not going to make a rocket that can make a return trip, but they are going to make a pod. That's why I said very early on, and I've come back around to it. It's the only thing that I think they could realistically do. Because then it would also be an easy, like, you guys don't have to change the shape of the rocket or anything. All you need to do is include this, like, return pod that we have crafted. That, in some way will allow you to just, like, be slingshot from the moon back to Earth. I have no idea how that could possibly work, but, like, narratively, that's the thing that makes the most sense to me. Because, yeah, there is no way in the world they're going to secretly make a giant, better rocket. It's just not happening. I think also, like, having it just be a, like, return pod or something could be interesting because we could then have Senku, like, coming back to Earth. We could have him, like, without intending to, we could, like, parallel the Byakuya manga, where, like, we see exactly how they managed to land, that they landed in the water and then they got saved. Like, I can see it working out. In my head, it makes sense, but I don't know if it would be good as manga. So I'll just have to have faith in Boichi and Inagaki-sensei. With that, that is Dr. Stone. Definitely not the top, but it was pretty good. Like, I haven't been having the best time with Dr. Stone as of late, but this has been a good return to form. It's at least on the level of Elusive Samurai, if not better. So I'll give it the edge. I'll say it's better. Let's give it a nice, cozy number 3. Yeah, nothing else really to point out without going back into just circles. Really, really glad we have this globe. It does genuinely make me really happy. And plus, I am glad that we've had, the chapters of constant progress. So, like, now it feels, like, even a volume ago, I would have freaked out if we just kind of, like, skimmed over them, like, putting up the satellites, or, like, having a space telescope. But because, like, part of the, like, vibe of this arc has been, really enormous scientific, like, space progress. It's a much easier pill to swallow. All right. With that, let us move on to... Oh, right. My Hero Academia, Chapter 331, United States of America. I feel like this has to be a pun, but I don't know what this could possibly mean as a pun. Before we do that, let me show you this panel from the Elusive Samurai. Extremely accurate. Extremely appropriate. In fact, if I go to my... you can see that I also actually clipped this image. I did it on stream, but it was something where I looked at it, and it was a really big, like, yeah, this is the Elusive Samurai image. Elusive Samurai is a wild series. Anyways, I've got to make a guess. So I'm going to say that United States of America, it could just literally be, we're talking about the country. Like, like, if she dies here, if the #1 hero in America dies, like, and she's not in America, and also she left of her own accord, like, that's gonna be an international incident. So it could just be a hard cut to America, and we'll see what America's thinking. We'll, have someone trying to talk down the president from trying to just straight up bomb Japan. My other idea is that, like, it could be states as in, like, forms. Like, because we know that, we know that Star and Stripe is always using, like, she can change 2 things with her effect, with New Order, and one of them is always herself. So I'm wondering if, like a Kamen Rider, if she has different states, like different forms that she can change into that are this is the one where I can fly, and this is the one where I'm like invincible, or this is the one where like the Shigaraki touching me just will not work. I could definitely see an arc that is, that is just Shin Godzilla. Like, we just cut to all the bureaucrats. It is this long, arduous process of figuring out what's going on. I mean, Shigaraki already had, like, the multiple different stages of development and all that. Like, behind the scenes, I imagine it was already Shin Godzilla. Now I get how New Order works. I mean, it's scary enough of being on a plane and having a gremlin on one of the wings. Imagine being a fighter pilot and having Shigaraki just on your jets. Truly, truly terrifying. It may be supreme, but it's still constrained by rules of its own. She is also a negator. The government strictly oversees her quirk. I mean, yeah, it is the most, like, non-physical quirk. It is the most, like, this is just altering the rules of reality. And so I get why the Pentagon would be keeping a close eye on her, like, how she uses it. I mean, like, Deku already has Black Whip. He already has, like, a Spidey sense. Like, he has some aspects of Spider-Man. And so I think it's only fitting if Shigaraki has the other aspects. And honestly, like the ability to stick to things really fits Shigaraki in my mind, because A, like, he has a very touch-based ability, so I can definitely see it being a, like, like, he can cling to things, and then when he feels like it, he can just destroy them and then, like, fall right off. And also, sorry about that. Also, like, Shigaraki does remind me a little bit of Kane, the famous second clone of Peter Parker, whose signature move was the Mark of Kane, in which he would use the sticky to walls power that all, like, that Peter has, to, like, grab people by the face and then, like, overstick his hand onto their face, thus, like, like, sucking bits of it into his hand and, like, disfiguring it in a truly awful way. And that's something I could see Shigaraki doing, like, when he's not just actively annihilating things by touching them. I'm very happy that we have the line of a jaw-dropping, unreasonable power that makes the world her plaything, and one that practically redefines what a quirk can be. Because, yeah, like, it is on the same level as someone like Eri, where Eri also has a quirk that is, like, on another level of being, like, it redefines what a quirk can be. So what has Shigaraki learned? Yeah, like, my reaction last chapter was just the big ol', like, I cannot believe that this is a quirk. Like, it feels so fundamentally different, even from something like Eri. Like, a lot of the other quirks, how do I put this? Like, she has to touch and acknowledge what is going on, from what we've seen thus far. And that is, similar to a lot of abilities. But, like, I think the scope is what makes a difference. Like, yeah, the Stain being able to, like, lick some blood, and then without touching the person, just by touching their blood, he can then affect the person. Like, yeah, that's very, like, non-physical. Or, like, Aizawa just being able to look at someone, and then without physically touching them, just by looking at them, he can shut off their quirk, and if he's no longer maintaining eye contact, then their quirk comes back. Like, that is, like, those are also really strange in terms of, like, how it works. Those are also kind of, like, dipping into the realm of, like, is this a stand ability? But, like, they're very constrained in what they can do. So, like, it's easier to buy. Or, like, even Uraraka. Like, even the ability of, you touch something and then remove its gravity is, like, it's still very constrained in how she can use it. Even though she could, like, theoretically, over the course of, a long time, she could just make the entire planet weightless if she could just touch every bit of the planet. But, like, it would be so laborious that it's not really worth thinking about. Whereas, like, with Star and Stripe, it does, like, she really does raise the question of, like, if she dips her hand in the ocean, can she then, like, put a rule on the entire ocean? Can she just say, now the ocean weighs nothing? Yeah. I mean, as I will
as I always love remembering, like, quirks are not just genetic, they are a physical thing. There is a plus alpha factor that is in the brain that you can physically touch and remove. It is a physical part of the body. But okay, so what is this? Like, X-Men went all the way to just like mutant powers are cheat codes in the universe. Like, if you go deep deep enough with them. Like, they are fundamentally some of the most powerful things in existence, just governed by this, like, genetic lottery. And so, like, the fact that my hero hasn't, like, delved into that. Like, we don't have the big, crazy cosmology stuff like we do with, with Marvel, let alone with, mutant stuff. Like, it's a little harder to buy, but fundamentally, like, I don't have a problem with it. As long as the series always plays by its own rules consistently. And that is, like, New Order pushes the limits of that consistency, but it's still in there. Like, I don't think it's wrong in any way. But I can see why other people might be freaking out over it online. Also, I do feel like this feels like a real, like, Shigaraki came up with this, and this makes sense given his characterization. But I don't know if that's actually a thing that, like, I don't know if I would have this takeaway of, because she didn't immediately try to murder him with one blow, therefore she can't. Judging from the fact that she didn't say, if he touches the air within the set range, he dies, one assumes that the new rule can't arbitrarily involve things she hasn't touched. Okay, yeah, so like Death Note rules. Like, in a Death Note, you can't say, before this person dies, they kill these other people. But you can, like, separately say, this person dies from being shot, and this person kills someone with a gun and then dies. Also, boy, like, this page was, okay, but these two panels are just pure text. Like, we're entering Togashi levels of too much text. I get it, though. Like, this is a situation where, like, the specificity of the rule is so unbelievably important that we do have to really, really explain it. And I would rather have this happen over, like, 2 or 3 pages. Like, let's call it 2.5, as opposed to, like, like, spacing it out over the course of the entire volume, or sorry, the entire chapter, and, like, just interrupting it with a lot of, cool imagery for no real reason. Yeah, the process of naming the target is so weirdly, like, how do I put this? Like, the fact that, like, for non-living things, yeah, that makes sense in the sense that, like, a non-living thing can't disagree with your name. Like, the air is the air, but if you call it, like, any other word in any other language, it doesn't really matter because the air can't fight you on it. Whereas Shigaraki was able to, I guess, resist that the being that she is fighting was able to resist the statement of, you are Tomura Shigaraki. See, John Smith will die next time he eats Chipotle, I think, would not work under the same rule as, like, she can't say if he touches the air within the set range, he dies. Like, I don't think then that she would be able to, like, pull out a juice and turn it into the juice that makes you come extra hard, and then give it to you, and then say, when you drink this juice, you will come extra hard. Though then again, that is, like, this is all from Shigaraki's mind. So it's very possible that he is misinterpreting what he has seen. It's interesting that he specifically brought up his dog, Mon. Because that is a very Shigaraki memory specifically. Like, that's not a all-for-one memory, and that's not a, generic, like, if she, named my dog. It really depends on whether, like, Shigaraki's insight of, like, she can't say if he touches the air within the set range, he dies would work. Well, actually, never mind. Because, yeah, I guess it is a, like, as long as she touches you and then puts a rule on it. Like, she could turn the next juice you drink into bone-hurting juice by, making that a rule on you. But she could not turn the juice itself into bone-hurting juice that will hurt you. Right? That makes sense to me. Like, it is the, like, she can make a change on something, but it cannot then inflict a different rule on something else. This feels like it could be a format. Like, if you remove the text, this feels like a real, boy on a date, girl on a date situation. But I don't know how I would caption it. So I'll think about it for later. Also, redrawing this would be an absolute pain. But, like, their expressions feel very, very strong here. Okay, so what is she trying to do now? Not now, then when should I exercise my special authority? We gotta use tactics that Japan lacks to make him dead. Now. So what is she thinking of? Like, it can't just be like, we're sending in more heroes. And, like, it can't just be, shoot him with a laser, because they've already shot him with lasers. Like, how high are they willing to escalate in order to beat Shigaraki here? And, like, what do they have? Like, we know nothing about America. When we die together, brothers. Would you die for her? Oh, okay. The air forms into my shape, but 1,000 times bigger. God. Okay, so that's a valid move. And when she said the air forms into my shape 1,000 times bigger, like, she didn't specify a specific amount of air, or, like, the place where the air was. She just said, like, the air, and then, she kind of just, like, said an arbitrary size. And so, like, it only used that amount of the air. But, like, it also wasn't the air right immediately next to her, or, like, the air around her. It is, like, off to the side here. There's something so wild about her stand just being her. Nothing's visible there, but I got a nasty feeling. Oh, I see Shigaraki does not have giant muscle lady sense. Otherwise, he would know exactly what's happening. Holy moly. Oh, that shot is so cool. Like, the giant focus on the hands, and also the, like, clear, like, these hands symbolize this thing happening. It actually feels very Chainsaw Man. Like, also just, like, the way the hands are, like, over the panels. I mean, like, Horikoshi loves his hands, but, like, the way this is framed just feels very Chainsaw Man to me. Also, the scale of this attack is so unbelievable. Like, I remember, like, I remember when we had the Deku versus Shigaraki fight, like, like a few arcs ago, and I was trying to figure out, like, how can Deku possibly fight him? My guess was Deku has to have a barrier move. Like, he has to have a barrier quirk. The only possible way that he could, like, remain in close contact with Shigaraki without being annihilated would be if, like, he can make something that keeps Shigaraki from physically touching him, and that, allows him to keep on punching without, like, the punches then exposing his skin to Shigaraki's bare touch. At no point did I consider, what if Deku had a quirk that allowed him to manipulate the air in order to clap Shigaraki with the force of 1,000 of, like, his own clapping strength 1,000-fold. I mean, we haven't seen any, like, buildings even on the horizon, so I think we're probably fine for places people live. But that said, I'm sure every fish in this area is dead. Like, this shockwave is definitely screwing up the wildlife here. Oh, now that's a reaction phase. This is a real when I wake up on Monday morning and I need to go to work phase. You do raise a good point. That is also a big, like, if a butterfly flaps its wings on the other side of the earth, will it cause a tornado? This is a real, like, if Star and Stripe claps with the force of 1,000 of herself in Japan, is it going to just annihilate America? What is this going to do to the entire world's ecology? But I get it. Like, world-ending problems need world-ending solutions, I suppose. The lasers combine into one. United Hypermax Output Laser. This is truly the coolest thing. I was really wondering how they would make the #1 hero in America feel like the actual #1. Like, how is this not going to just be All Might but reskinned? Or how is this going to, feel different but still, like, on the same level or bigger than All Might? And, Horikoshi did it. I get it. I fully buy that Star and Stripe is on the same level as All Might, if not, if she has not surpassed him. Like, in terms of raw output, I should say. In terms of, like, actually being a hero on the streets, who can say? But, like, if I saw footage of this, I mean, to be fair, if I saw footage of this, I would not be seeing the giant muscle lady, which I think would actually add a lot to her, like, popularity polls. Oh, what does a Kerunos mean? Ah, okay, it's Thunderbolt. Got it. Okay, so the commander got in. Now, this raises an even bigger question of, like, if she knows that she can do this in order to just hold down Shigaraki, and she, like, this is not a situation where whatever she's calling in is going to be, like, I mean, I don't think he's gonna die here, but this does raise the stakes. This is a clear, like, she is not underestimating Shigaraki. This is a very clear, like, she understands how dangerous he is. And whatever she's calling in, whatever she has the authority to call in, it's going to be something that should be able to kill him. But like at this rate, I don't know what the American military has that could, put him down. Like, is it just going to be a nuke? Is this just a fundamental, hey, I'm using my authority as the #1 hero to nuke Japan? I mean, again, they're not near Japan. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. Because, like, everything else I was thinking of was, like, can they scramble more jets? Are they going to fire some, other missiles? But even then, I don't... Like, can Shigaraki die of radiation poisoning? That's the only thing I can think of. And, like, it feels like we're about to get the big page where she's like, do the thing. Like, I'll fundamentally say, I don't think it's going to be more heroes. I don't think it's going to be the, these foolish Japanese people think that, the hero system counts all the way up to #1. They don't know that in America we have a #0 hero. I could see that, but I don't think it's happening. Not my hero. So I don't think she's calling in the #0 hero. I don't think that it's any other, like, traditional munitions. That's the real, like even with, if it's something that, violates the Geneva Conventions, it's a real, like, I don't know if Shigaraki can die from, like, poison gas. I don't know why she would use poison gas here. The only thing I can think of is literally just nuking Shigaraki. Oh, call the lawyers. I'm so accustomed to your independent ways that I got careless. This is an interesting head shape. Is Akbar supposed to be a play on Admiral Akbar? Are we going to get a big thing where she, she calls in whatever this is, and then it turns out that All For One has planned for it, and we get the big, it's a trap moment. Okay, it is Admiral Akbar. Yeah, like, the moment I saw the eyes, it clicked. Before then, it was, just a name. Japan's been informed that the strike is imminent. Alright, here we go. All Might himself couldn't put a proper end to this villain. Prepare to surpass him, Cassie. Their name is Tiamat. Make sure every last one hits the mark. Okay, they're shooting ICBMs. American missiles on the way to Japan. It's not, I mean, we don't have, like, nuclear signs on them. So I don't think these are actually nuclear weapons. And that was the real, like, that's the only thing I could think of. I mean, this is still going to be awful, don't get me wrong. But yeah, this is a real, like, I mean, they are not fighting in Japan. We do, like, this fight has just been in the middle of the ocean. It is on the way to Japan for sure. But I think he's made this, choice as well as he could have, in the sense that it's international waters, and we have, like, built this up as a very big deal, and neither side is being demonized. Like, it isn't, like, there's been criticism of Japan, but this isn't Japan is absolutely useless. And this is also not a, like, America is warmongering. It's not they're trying to even, specifically attack, like, he doesn't have to depict, American missiles blowing up, Japanese, buildings or anything. I mean, the people that, give Horikoshi backlash do not care about that sort of thing. Like, I'm sure he's still going to get some sort of hate in some way, but I hope it's not that much, because I think this is honestly completely understandable in universe. Yeah. Like, the nuclear weapon thing that I came up with, that hit me so hard just because that would be a fundamental, like, that would be even more questionable, symbolically. So I'm glad that these are just, quote unquote, state-of-the-art hypersonic intercontinental cruise missiles. Oh, yeah, it's a good point. Like, this page makes a lot, it works just on the normal shonen level of, like, obviously, if you're going to have a weapon system or something, you gotta give it a name. Like, that's just your classic, it seems super cool energy. But yeah, him specifically stating what they are is, definitely clear, like, he intends for her to then apply her rules to the missiles in order to make sure that they kill Shigaraki. I wonder how that works on multiple missiles like this. Like, their name is Tiamat. Because, like the air, for instance, is both one thing, in the sense that, like, all the air in the world is the air, but also it is, like, billions of tiny little particles that are all, like, you could say, like, this is air, and also this is air, and also this is air, and also all the, everything in my room is air. So I think it has to just be, like, the way that in which she perceives what a single thing is. Or, like, what the target is, rather. Yeah. I think this is such a good concept, just for a, for Shigaraki. Like, this makes so much sense as a clear, like, in, how do I put this? It's a constant thing in Hero Works for detractors to just say, why don't they just nuke them? Why don't they just, blow up the aliens? Why didn't they just drop a nuke on Thanos? This is such a good way to address that. Because, like, if Shigaraki, just, disintegrates all of them instantly, that'll explain it. If, they all land, if she does manage to specifically make sure that every single detonation is completely used to, reduce Shigaraki to atoms, and then he comes back, that'll explain it. If he's got a quirk that, just, like, puts them in a pocket dimension or something, or he just, like, he blips away or something, it'll explain it. Yeah, I'm genuinely so happy that they're doing this. Because, I mean, there's also the possibility, there is the possibility that these missiles do in fact all hit Shigaraki and he is reduced to atoms. Or, no, I keep on saying Shigaraki when in this arc we have specifically brought up that, there is no name we have right now for what this being is. So I'm just defaulting to Shigaraki as a, like, that is the name of the vessel. But it is fully possible that we can just do a, like, this is a backup, or, like, these missiles are going to reduce him to atoms, and then they, she, like, Star and Stripe freezes those atoms into place, and they put them in a bunker in America as, like, the atoms start to reform back into Shigaraki. Like, they could just do that. I mean, like, especially with, like, the countdown timer to Shigaraki being awoken having already sped up. Like, there's not a lot of time in universe now. And I'd be totally fine if America did just, like, lock down Shigaraki for an arc. And that just, gave everyone enough time to fully figure out an actual plan. Like, I can fully see the resolution to this being, like, we have atomized Shigaraki. We know he can come back from atoms because of, X or Y quirk or X, like, combinations of quirks. And so, like, they have to figure out what the solution is, and the solution they come to is, like, the inner worlds, and, like, the world of the vestiges, and the idea that, Deku has to, go into the mines and, fight the vestige of All for One, and then fight the vestige, like, Shigaraki in the mindscape. We could also, like, Shigaraki has been, like, perfected as a vessel, and I could see the big sacrifice that All for One has to make being, like, he warps Shigaraki's brain out of his body, and then the vessel that they've spent all this time and effort into, like, perfecting is annihilated. But, like, Shigaraki's brain and the original All for One and all the quirks that have been put into him are all still, like, physically there within his quirk factor, and so they could just, like, remodel All for One's body. Or, I mean, like, Shigaraki's original body now is, like, they've said repeatedly, he's just a Nomu at this point. So if there are any remaining high ends, they could also just warp the brain into one of those and try to, just have it take over. There are, like, multiple ways that, like, the easy answer is going to be Shigaraki is not, affected by any of this. But it is also very possible for Horikoshi to write this in a way where, like, Star and Stripe gets a victory, and these missiles do their job, and this is an overall victory for the good guys, but not one that actually ends the problem. I definitely think, like, the big Deku Shigaraki final fight is going to definitely be a Mindscape fight. Like, that's part of why I was so surprised that we did it, like, in the previous arc. That was the most, like, I think it makes a lot of sense as just a way to establish that is a thing that can happen. But I'm definitely expecting that for, the end of the series. Like, at this point, both of their vessels are too powerful that, like, yes, they can be, like, they'll have a big, cool, physical, drawn-out fight, but I feel like they also have to have a Mindscape fight for it to really matter. Oh, man, my hero is so good. Unpopular opinion, but My Hero is a good manga. No, genuinely fantastic chapter. I can't say it, like, definitely better than Dr. Stone. I can't say I liked it as much as Red Hood, honestly. Oh, but I mean, maybe I can. Maybe I can, because Undead Unluck is, like, that is still number one for me, no doubt. Red Hood, I think, is more interesting as a, like, as a thesis statement, as a thing that I can, like, pick apart and, like, imagine what was meant to be. But in terms of what is on the page, this is so cool just for how, like, big it is. And for how, like, well Horikoshi has been handling, this absolutely insane quirk, and then, like, talking about it and figuring out, like, handling it in a way that makes her, like, that makes Star and Stripe feel like the number one hero of America. And, like, genuinely putting, this being that is Shigaraki through his paces. it's the kind of thing that, like, this is the kind of arc that I usually write off in most things as being we're just, buying time and hyping up the, main villain. But I genuinely don't know how this is going to end, and that makes me feel very, very happy. So I'm giving it the edge over Red Hood. It's number 2. Easy, easy peasy. I am looking forward to the inevitable moment next chapter where he screams, "It's a trap." It has to happen. Also, I am genuinely really curious if he is her father, or if it is just a, he is, her superior. And, separately, I mean, the fact that he says Cassie, like, that is the most, like, we have an intimate, I think of her as a daughter. Which, then, via Occam's razor, the easiest answer would then be, they just have a, father-daughter relationship. Because, yeah, I was trying to say that, it could also just be a boss relationship, but I cannot imagine in this moment, like, her boss using her real name in this moment as a, like, it doesn't really make sense. I feel like, it has to be a familial relationship. Okay, so that is my hero. Such greatness. Got one more series and then the comments. Let's move on to Me and Roboco, chapter 63. I gotta say it's in the phone. I keep on not doing it. Me and Roboco, chapter 63. Oh boy. Another character. Now, is this her Kohai? And we've got her Kohai, we've got her sister. Is this just a new character? I mean, I assume, like, if this was a revisits, then, Bondo's mom would just say who, their name is, right? I see the Robert plot is evolving. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? Miyu Torishima from Beta Fumizaka 47. That definitely, that wasn't the name of her idol group, right? Also, Flaming in Roboco. Okay, so she's just an idol friend, but she wasn't an idol coworker. She's 15! Bondo, you screamed all of this out loud! You cannot come back from this! I was lying! I was trying to sound cool! I'm a huge fan! This really does sum up Roboco's whole vibe as a character. She is the kind of person who, after 63 chapters, would still immediately assume that if you say, "Can you get me an autograph?" she'd be like, "Oh, you mean my autograph, of course." Okay, so that's what they meant by flaming. I can't believe she knows that she's being flamed. Like, with the amount of success she has. I've got 39,000 followers versus 530,000 followers. It's unbelievable. This isn't Miyu's fault. Flaming refers to a concentration of mass criticism in response to an improper remark or poorly considered action. Ah, I see. Also, I did assume this was a candle. I did not realize that she had lit her finger on fire. But yeah, this is a tough one. Like, how do you deal with straight up lies without, I mean, you can just say these are lies, but that's, it's hard to really deal with that. It's very difficult to deal with, absolute made up nonsense because, like, a surprising number of people will then say, well, even if there's no proof, the flip side of there's no proof is there is proof. Therefore, it's a 50-50. Oh, that's so mean. The plastic surgery one is so unbelievably mean because I can definitely see that happening in real life. Sometimes they even get flamed for pictures that don't have anything wrong with them at all. Yeah, what are you supposed to do with this? Oh no, is Roboco gonna do the big bitter, I'm not being flamed, so I'm mad? No, she gets it. This is the kind of thing only another ultra-popular charisma monster can empathize with. And yeah, she was an idol for a while. That is canon, we can't disagree with that. Oh yeah, you're right. Her name is Miyu Torishima, but her handle is Miyoshima Tori. I mean, I guess maybe Miyu Torishima was already taken? I could definitely see this being, like, a better goof in Japanese. If it is, like, her last name is 2 kanji and then she just, like, flipped them around. On a walk with the guys. That's not Also, why is Roboco's... Why... In-universe, why is Roboco's Twitter, Roboco Tyra, me and Roboco official? Also, you know what? You are right, Happy. I don't get it. I don't know why her display name would also be that. That does raise a big question. Who is at Radit's elbow? like, for being 63 chapters in, I do understand, like, every time someone comes to Roboco with advice, it's always this pattern. Like, they, present their actual problems, and then Roboco goes off on her bullshits, and then we go back to their problems when they're, like, straight up crying. And I do get it, because if I had problems like this, I would want to go to Roboco and just have a small reprieve as she completely misinterprets and mangles them. But yeah, that really does suck. Like, I hope this is a chapter where, some people read it and then go like, oh, maybe I shouldn't flame idols online. What do you do about your trolls, Roboco? I go on the offensive. Most of the tweets are positive, but some of them... Well, she definitely does not block people online. It seems like the only person who flames her is Raditz's elbow. Which, to be fair, I can understand because I assume Raditz's elbow is one of the only people that, like, comments on her posts. It truly is, like, in another world where people have problems I can't relate to. Or in another world where people have problems I can relate to, but these are not my problems, and the answers are also very bad. What do you think getting a like from someone you dunked on but don't even follow means? It's a declaration. I am always watching you. I wonder if I can set up a bot that replies to... I mean, to be fair, my Twitter is extremely tiny, and of course I get, like, almost no interaction, and the interaction I do get is positive. So I guess I can't do this, but I do like the idea of setting up my Twitter to respond to, like, comments from people I don't know with, I am always watching you. Also, because I made the eye trade, I can pinpoint their IP address and get the real name. What is half of Roboco's lifespan? Because it seems like she's been around forever, so I guess half of forever is not that bad, really. Also, wait a minute. I completely glossed over I can pinpoint their IP address and get their real name. That is definitely not how the Shinigami eyes work. I definitely do not remember Light Yagami going on, or I guess Misa going on Twitter and going like, alright, I'm looking at... I can use the Shinigami eyes to backtrace through all of L's... Just envisioning Misa saying... I can use the Shinigami eyes to look through all of L's proxies is making me lose my mind. If I ever get a hater, I'll definitely take you up on that offer. Though, to be fair, at that point, if I get a hater, I might treasure them too much. It might be too much of a novelty for me to then sick you on them. So when someone really doesn't get it, I go and have a chat with them in person. I'm buying every volume, please forgive me. Hashtag me and Roboco, hashtag Roboco so cute. Yeah, this is truly terrifying advice. This is, of course, the kind of advice you want in that it is horrifying. It takes so much effort. You are spending all your time on only negativity, and also it's almost certainly not going to work. Also, you might get arrested for this. So really, the worst of all possible worlds. Also, Bondo, I cannot believe, Bondo is supposed to be the voice of reason in this, and his answer is, could you just quit? Hell no. Yeah, just look at the replies from people supporting you. It's honestly like, I get it, but it does surprise me how universal this is. Like, I've heard so many podcasts, and I've seen so many, like, documentaries and stuff that have specifically used this wording of, like, a single person trying to hurt me stings more than 100 people cheering me on. Like, the fact that that it is just such a big part of also just, like, being successful. That it's so, rare to be someone who doesn't care. And that it's so, it's so much more normal to be someone who is just, a normal person who really cares and really gets hurt by this kind of thing. Like, yeah, it's not what I imagined celebrities were like. I really wonder what their advice is going to be. I mean, this is me and Roboco, so the answer might just be Roboco finds the haters and kills them. Oh, man. Okay, I need to cap this one. This one's going right on my Twitter. I'm just doing it right now. It's so perfect. It was a truly risky move going onto my Twitter in the middle of this. I only just realized, like, oh, anything could have been there. Google, don't look at that one. YouTube, please do not. Of every part of this video that is not supposed to be on your platform, especially do not look at that part. I wish I got flamed like that. Roboco. I feel like she should be, Mew Mew's social media advisor. Or, like, just the hate mail advisor. I wanted to seem like a fellow idol talking on her level, so I lied. Roboco, why are you like this? Getting flamed is proof of how famous you are. Haters are just like the boy who teases the girl he likes. Every one of these guys actually loves Miu Miu. I don't know if that's accurate. I mean, I do agree with this one. Like, every time this kind of thing comes up, I remember like like post time skip in K-On! When like the mangaka of K-On! Got death threats because one of the girls mentioned that that she had a boyfriend at one point. Like that unbelievable level of people freaking out over the concept of a fictional character having not even being in a relationship, but having been in a relationship is unbelievable. Oh no! Oh no! I need the defense force. But how can I sick the defense force on the defense force? Truly, this is a paradox. I send out as much bait as possible, but forget flames. I don't even get any smoke. Roboco, I'm pretty sure this is illegal. This is beyond flame material. Roboco, stop. This isn't acting fishy. This is shoving a mackerel directly up people's noses. Haters are the seeds of fans. Here, this is probably the ultimate. Again, I have still not looked into the me and Roboco hate them. I know that's a thing, but I haven't. But this does seem very squarely aimed at the me and Roboco hate them. I don't have a finite lifespan, so I can work on haters for as many decades as it takes to turn them into fans. Which also, that does actually explain the Shinigami eyes. I mean, I was just saying that as a, general, like, we know there have been Robocos since, like, at least the Edo period. And this Roboco might have been around since the Edo period. But no, if she, canonically does not have a finite lifespan, then I guess she did just give away half of infinity, so she will still live forever. I think people would be very into the super yandere idol that stalks you. But yeah, I can see how this is working. Like, Roboco's view of the situation is so unbelievably askew that, it knocked her out of this situation where she was, like, genuinely being very affected by it. I can't believe she's actually feeling okay. And, this is the best of both worlds. It is the hard, like, yes, I have a different outlook on this, but also I have Roboco here, so who will just straight up kill them. I don't know if that's out there, but it might be. I'm sure there's gotta be some, like, powerful yandere cuck manga as well. That's such a strong concept! Like, the idea of, the person I like is super obsessed with this idol, and so I'm not going to try and get them together, because I like this energy. I just like it when they pine away after this person that is not me, so I can pine away after them, knowing that they don't think about me. But, like, I can see that being popular, genuinely. You'll have to give me some of your secrets for getting flamed next time. No, this is way too charitable. There is no way that Roboco was doing this on purpose. Roboco, is that true? No, it isn't. This is the face of absolute despair. He didn't get an autograph, but he did get a handshake. Also, like, her being 15 actually does help a lot, this not being that weird. Like, it'd be so much stranger if she was, like, an 18-year-old idol. And honestly, I actually do like this as the note we're ending this on. Roboco finally gets flamed, she finally gets the hate, and then 10 minutes later, she's like, oh no, I do regret this isn't good. Oh, I don't know if I've ever seen that dynamic. I mean, like, not expressed like that. I really like the concept of, I am a yandere, and I am NTRing the person I love, because I know they want it, and therefore I know I cannot be with the person I like, because once that happens, they are no longer being NTR'd. And of course, I don't want, I can't be in a relationship with them because I just want them to have the experience of being NTR'd. This seems like a nightmare to write, but I can still see it. I think the only way that would work in a way that wouldn't be unbelievably difficult to write would be if you did a full Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, where everyone's a bit yandere, and so you can do the cuck dynamic, but then also fold it into, multiple yanderes playing off of one another. It truly is. Let us explore bravely, and go where no one has ever gone before, and risk life and death in order to get only the best Yan possible. And speaking of the best Yan possible... That's me and Roboco. It was a pretty good chapter. It wasn't an absolute banger, but it was fun in its own way. And I honestly do really like the note we leave this on. Like the joke of Roboco intentionally, being super into the idea of being flamed and totally misreading it. Like, I really like that Mew Mew does take that as a, like, oh, you were just saying that to get my mind off of it. And that also Roboco realized that flaming is bad, in fact. Red Hood was unbelievable. I genuinely don't know. It feels like next chapter is going to be the end, but I don't know. It could still be another chapter of end. Of, like, how far is the canon gonna go? Is it going to be U19? I feel like it really is. Like, I feel like next chapter is gonna be the end. Anyways, author comments time. Anything interesting here? Done? Not really. Oh, man. Now, that's gotta be some variant of NTR, right? What if the yandere is your editor? And so, the only way they can make you happy is by keeping you on the brink of thinking your series is being canceled every single week. So your entire series is, like, it is oops, all I'm being canned chapters. But you never get canned. Like, you just have volume after volume of a super weird pacing that seems like you're always being canned, but you're not actually being canned. Mangaka Comments. Oh, I have not seen Hathaway yet. Like, I've heard people talking about it, but I haven't, like, sat down. My plan right now is actually completely separate from Gundam. I need to finish Kamen Rider Saber. Because for a long time, like, since, Decade, I have been the guy who has seen all of Heisei Kamen Rider. And I mean, that's still true now we're in the Reiwa era, but, like, I've been, the guy that's seen basically all of Kamen Rider. And now I can't say that anymore because I dropped Saber halfway through. But I gotta finish it in order to get the cred. And so I won't be consuming anything else new for the time being. I gotta get my way through it. Oh no, Columbus, why? Horikoshi just seems like he's constantly on the verge of dying. Please stop, please. At this point, I don't know. Do we need another artist for My Hero Academia? Can we just get Betancourt from Vigilantes to draw My Hero? I don't know if Horikoshi can be a mangaka. Like, we are heading into, like, constantly sick all the time mangaka era, which is no longer something I find funny, now that, like, a Kentaro Miura, actually passed on. I can't imagine how utterly devastating it would be if Red Hood got canceled, and then Horikoshi was like, hey, I need someone who can draw my style in order to do My Hero Academia. Anyone. However, I can only choose people who are currently running in Jump. I'm sorry, even if you're free right now, I can't do it. I mean, if I got knocked out, like if someone bonked me in the head and I woke up in like 5 years and someone just said, by the way, Boichi draws all of Jump now, I would not be surprised. That is a future that I am fully ready to accept at this point. I'm glad Oda's having a good time. I mean, it's been years. Like, we've had years and years and years of him in the author comments saying, fun, nice things that he has been doing. And it still surprises me every single time. Wait, is Inagaki also working on 2 serializations? What else is he doing? What's another Inagaki series running right now? Oh no, I did? Drat, thank you. I have multiple Google accounts, and so I can't, I have one that is specifically a, a Dynamite Neko and a, ThermiteKitty and whatnot. But yeah, thanks. I do appreciate that, because I probably would not have noticed it. Boy, luck stands are wild. I know they exist for Black Clover, but I cannot believe, Luck does so little in the series. I mean, he had a pretty cool showing recently, but still, I can't imagine standing any of the Black Bulls so much that every single year you send him a birthday gift. Holy moly. When I search Roboco on Twitter, I get so many warm comments. Thank you. I am actually really glad that, for this chapter, Shuhei Miyazaki did point out, hey, you know what? I do get good comments. I was really worried this was just a big outcry of, guys, please stop flaming my manga on Twitter. I could see it for Magna, actually. Yeah, Magna and Yami both have that, Yami especially has big, I don't expect to get a response. I'm going to send this, these sweets to him, and I know he's going to look at them with a very bored expression. He might eat one, but he probably won't. It is that denial energy. It is the, I just want to send a birthday present to daddy energy. Anyways, my throat seems to be freaking out right now, so that probably means it's time for me to finish. Thank you all so very much for watching. This was fantastic. I had a fun time. Catch me on the server, catch me on the channel, and please take care, everyone. Bye for now. Yeah.